For the final time in the 2025 season, it is Power Spike here to break down the world of League of Legends. There was one match to cover, and cover it we shall. It is the annual episode, Dom, where an analysis goes to die by the wayside. T1 was the greatest team all along. They were always destined to win. Any sort of other answer was wrong. You were wrong. Point in the face. Chovy, no. Not the greatest player because he doesn't have one championship and Faker has not one, not two, not three. That's a Miami Heat reference. 4, 5, 6 championships. Faker, the greatest of all time, cementing his legacy. A 3-2 victory over KT.
And it's not even just that. It's that no one predicted that they would even be good at this Worlds. Even though most people had them like I had them top 2. I don't think I had anyone. I don't think I saw anyone that had them out of the top 5. It's always that not only did they win, they were also massive underdogs, and no one expected them to win. So, yeah, it's kind of based.
Yeah. Just for note for people on the ride or watching live, this is the last episode. We got a lot of ads, so we will have ads today. Just be prepared for that, giving you guys the heads up at the jump. We'll see it in the comments anyways, but, we got to get it in there. One thing that got in there were some clippers, Jamada, onto Dom's head. Dom, a man of his word, held his word.
I actually did it. Hey, the other streamers didn't do it. That said that they were going to go bald.
Who didn't do it? Let's call him out.
Cage was supposed to do it.
Big man, Cage, yeah. He was supposed to. He's not done it because he's got the League Awards and I think one other event that's like very close to each other or just back to back at the end of this month. He's like, I don't want to go. I can't be bald. I can't be bald at these events. It's gonna suck. I can't.
Is that what he said?
Roughly, yeah. That was the general gist.
Really?
Like I can't.
I feel like that's like. I feel like that's the point. Like
yeah.
At least that's the way I thought. It's like I have to fucking go like. Can't really say. I can't leak exactly what we're doing, but we're competing before the start of the season with the team that I'm joining. So I'm gonna have to go to like a official tournament with a bald head. But it's like it is what it is. I mean, luckily for me, my hair grows pretty fast. Like I've already noticed, like in the last fucking 4 days, just like right here, it's thinning, but like on the top, it's like growing pretty fast. So I think I'll be good, to be honest.
Or you could do it there. Make him pay up the bet there and turn it into a shtick. But it's not even a shtick. It's him doing what he said he was going to do, being a man of his word. I'm good for you for getting it done. IWBaldinate is here. Looks okay. All right.
Looks okay.
Looks okay.
No, I think it suits him. The hair.
My hair is normally not. My hair is not normally that long. Like when I get my hair cut normally, I do like a 2 on the sides, and I've had times where like I'm like a 2 on the sides and on the back, and then like longer on top. And they've just done like a 2 all the way around and only left hair like in the front. Like I've like yeah. So I mean I've had it like happen before.
You got to get into that 1 into 2 action, man. 1 into 2.
Yeah, I mean normally I fade it, but I just fade it from skin to 2. Pretty much what I faded from.
All right.
Yeah. Like I normally get like tapered, like so I don't even like I'm gonna go get it cut in a second, but like I'm gonna wait for it to like grow out to at least a length where they can cut it. Like try to get it to like a 1 so they can at least know what they're dealing with.
I will baldinate. I will hairinate. Let us know which way we're going. I will buzzinate. I think this is grounds for good new nickname. On today's episode, I'm going to go through opening ceremony, the finals. We got ourselves a look into the future of 2026. Voice comms. Interesting little leakage there by Castrogen. I think it was Castrogen who did that in the finals.
Yep.
Recently dropped drama. The Dplus Kia documentary is at Breaking Point Part 2. And then it's been very quiet about the LPL across Reddit and on Twitter, and they are making so many changes. We alluded to the draft system last time, more news out of there, which also led into more roster rumors. A lot of things being held up by the format of this draft and who's going where and why you aren't hearing as much news coming out of the LCK, and it has to do with the LPL. We'll cover all of that. And then again, final thoughts on 2025. So let's get into it. And Jamada, this is your first time getting this action. Before, I would always ask Tom and Monty to be like, hey man, what'd you think of the opening ceremony? I'm very broadcast oriented. You are as well, spending time on there. I like to see what everything builds up to. And we got DJ Man playing a screen, hovering over Faker and BDD in the opening ceremony. That was Enima, I think is his name. You had Gem sing Sacrifice, which some of us have called it, which sounds like just an LCK opening. And she belted some notes. And then you had Chrissy, who I think was the best part, as she always is, a fucking rock star, killed it at the beginning, doing renditions of her own songs. And she did Phoenix, she did Legends Never Die, and then she did one more song. Can't remember which one it was, but she crushed
Warriors,
it as well. And then we had the season 1 song Bite Marks being performed by Taya. What did you make of the opening ceremony? Had a little bit of homage. What'd you make of it? What'd you think?
All right. Not to be a negative Nancy. I don't know. It kind of just, it was you know, I feel like a lot of these opening ceremonies now, what we end up doing is we kind of, it feels like we're in a cycle where it makes sense that you want to pay homage to all of the cool things that have happened, like musically, but it feels like we don't often make a lot of progress ceremony to ceremony. Last year was kind of different / weird because obviously we had Linkin Park and the whole, you know, air quotes collaboration there, but really it was just kind of their song that was like, hey, it's on Worlds. But this year, honestly, yeah, it just felt a little bit flat. Not like the worst thing in the world. The DJ guy coming in last second, kind of through the floor, hanging by cables on his little like setup, doing his DJ thing. It did look a bit goofy, but otherwise, I think the actual performers, the singers, Chrissy, Gem, and the other lady whose name escapes me, Taya. Thank you so much. They did fucking fantastic, in my opinion. I think they were great. But the actual ceremony itself, in terms of like spectacle, I feel like throughout the last couple of years, kind of post-COVID, we've done really well on the spectacle side, and I feel like we didn't get as much on the spectacle side as I was maybe expecting in terms of, I don't know, like pyrotechnics, dance stuff, all the like, you know, flashy stuff. I feel like we were maybe lacking on compared to some of the previous years. So yeah, other than that, I don't think it was far from the worst. It just, I don't know. I feel like musically we're kind of always feeling a bit too the samey for me, and that's the problem that I have personally with the opening ceremony sometimes, or not sometimes, like now. But I think that is kind of part and parcel of what that is, and kind of how songs tend to get made for Worlds. They all have the same or very similar motifs that we haven't really trodden away from for a little while, outside of, like, again, when we get those big celebrity collabs, whereas like was it 2021 or 2022 we had Lil Nas X, and obviously Linkin Park from last year. Those are the only times where it feels like we ever really go away from like the traditional kind of feeling of Worlds.
Yeah. I did like, people brought up the stage, right? It kind of looked like different fragments, and it had the
yeah, that was cool.
Past that was there.
Really cool. Yeah.
During the match, I think it had the logos of the teams on there, and the storytelling of all the different teasers, right? Because they kept ascending. They were using like the 4 gods, the 4 locations, you know, the different what are those called? Navigational systems, north, south, east, west, and the 4 different gods there. And they were ascending to the heavens. Because in the semifinals, if you remember, the teams were facing off in this pagoda, and they were looking out into space. And then there was like this goat that ascended to the heavens. And then finally, when they do the matchup against each other, they were in the heavens now. And it was time for them to write their legacy. So the teaser, I like that a lot because it felt continuous throughout. Green Goblin in the air over Faker and BDD felt kind of meh. The other thing I wanted to post, I'm not sure if you could put this up. Our producer Andrew was great on the screen. The stage, if anyone's ever played Elden Ring, the stage looked like Mogwin's Palace in Elden Ring. It's where you fight, it's the Blood Castle, and you fight the boss at the top. It's one of the hardest bosses in the game. I think it is Mogwin. Comes out of an egg, and then you just have to fight him, and he kills you with blood loss. Anyways, that's what it basically looked like. You look in there, and then there was like a logo of KT and a logo of T1 at the top. And I was like, there it is. Thank you. This is from Elden Ring. And I don't know if we can show anything from the broadcast. Let's not do that. But you can look at the broadcast and see what the background looks like. It looks like very, 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 very similar. So anyways, that was the opening. Any thoughts here, Dom, on that?
Not really. I mean, when I watch these opening ceremonies, I never even know what the point of them are. I don't know. For me, it's just I just don't care about them. All right, let's start the games. It's all good.
Yeah.
I don't know. Just how I've always been. I've just never been a huge a huge fan of the opening ceremonies. It's never been a big deal for me or something.
I'm trying to think. When in your career, did you have an opening ceremony, a big stage ceremony for an intro?
Yeah, I mean, I had. Well, I don't know if I had. I think there was some. I'm not sure. I feel like there probably was at Madison Square Garden. There was probably something, but for me, I didn't really I don't know. I'm just waiting for the games to start. I'm not the type of person who cares about that stuff. I don't even like Super Bowl halftime shows, really. Normally I just don't watch them. I just do something else with my time. I'm just not a huge enjoyer of the opening ceremonies. They don't mean that much to me. So I'm there for the games. I'm there for League of Legends. I'm not there for, whatever the opening ceremonies are.
Yeah. Well, this one was one. I don't know. Linkin Park grew on me from last year. This one, Ashley Kang said it was one of the best ones that she's seen since COVID because she was there in person. I talked to other people. They said the screen couldn't capture how great it was in person. The Otacon being chained behind the Tia, the singer who's dressing like LeBlanc. They said the scale of that was pretty awesome. But
that is one thing for sure. I think because last year I was at the O2, so I got to watch the opening ceremony in person, which is maybe why I feel a little bit more biased towards it. But then when I remember going back and watching it from the broadcast perspective, it wasn't anywhere near as cool as actually seeing it live. So I do wonder, that's always going to be a thing, a decision that you make if you're kind of curating that entire portion of the event is how much do you care about what people see at home versus the people that are there, right?
Yeah.
Because camera's only going to be able to capture so much compared to if you're quite literally sat in the arena, 50 feet away from where this stuff is going on. I mean, even my seat last year, I was practically all the way at the top of the back, and I could feel the heat of the pyrotechnics in the center of the arena from almost 100, more than 100 feet away. So that's always going to be a thing, I suppose, where if you're not watching it in person, it might just feel worse, even if it's actually really damn cool in person.
Yeah. Well, thanks for going on this trip with me, Jamada, and Dom, as we do every year. Love being able to just talk about it, see how the celebration goes. Not quite the K-drama. Both guys went to the same high school, and eventually we're going to play each other in the finals, 2022 with Deft and Faker. Not quite 2023, where they had the big thresh and had everyone's faces go through, and New Jeans. That shit was sick. This one, set the stage. They did the thing and got themselves ready to get into the game. But before we continue on into those games, a great way to get ready to get yourself into the game is our new friends here at LFN. It's Neuro Optima. Now, Neuro Optima is a new product here that was introduced to us to help us stay into something that they want to call flow state. It is optimal chemistry or cutting edge chemistry for optimum performance. It's made by gamers with a background in neuroscience, and Flow State, which is the product, uses extended release caffeine to give you balanced and sustained energy for 6 hours. Unlike coffee or energy drinks that spike your energy, causing jitters and crashes, it contains absorption enhancers to improve uptake speed and efficiency. Now, all of Neuroptima's products are designed and processed and packaged in-house in the United States, not created in offshore factories and imported. All flavoring and coloring is all natural, and Neuroptima's website covers the science and complete ingredients behind the product Flow State. Now, Flow State, you're always wondering what's happening behind those cups on stage at esports events. Pro players are increasingly using Flow State during their matches, but can't tell you because the tournaments have other sponsors for energy drinks. So Neuroptima, that's the way to go. Go to neuroptima.com and use the code LFN for 15% off your order and free samples of Recharge, their sleep and rejuvenate products to help with deeper and more restful sleep. Neuroptima ships free to the US, Canada, UK, and Europe if you hit the minimum orders. In addition to Flow State, you can also purchase creatine, vitamins, and hydration supplements that are also made in-house. Improve your work and play with consistent all-day energy and focus provided by Flow State. Use the code LFN for 15% off your entire order at neuroptima.com. That's NEUROPTIMA.com. Thanks to our friends over at Neuroptima. Now, let's dive into our first set of matches here. And people didn't know. Everyone was talking Telecom War. This is it. This is hype. It's been going back ages in esports, which is true, but it hasn't actually been that hype. It's been very one-sided. It's mainly been won by T1. There's not a lot of legacy players left from the last time that KT won. Score, the coach now for KT, won like one of the big ones back then. But since then, very T1-sided. And we got a great look at game one at both these squads during LCK. Because I asked them not to do it. KT gets Rumble. T1 gives Rumble over to Perfect on the top side of the map. They run the game early. T1 look out of it. They're not going to find a way back in. And a poor engage ruins everything. Game one was a very good and probably one of the better games in the series encapsulation of it. Dom, what did you make of the early part of the series in this game number one?
Well, I thought that KT started the game pretty much the best way possible. Like when you think about like how T1 normally plays, like T1 normally plays really disrespectfully in like the early game, which is why domestically they're subject to getting like completely like blown out of certain games. Why the Hanwha Live series wasn't particularly close. Like they'll just walk into areas that they're not allowed to be in just to see if you're going to actually test them, if you're actually going to be there, if you're going to actually like try to do anything. So they did this at Crab. They walked into a Crab fight versus Braum and Wukong, level 3 with Poppy Xinjiao, which is like never winning, right? Like you just can never win this fight. And they donate a free kill. And it felt like, after that, KT had complete control of the game. They stacked the Drakes. They were just getting everything on the map. And it felt like that was how KT needed to open the series. I do think it was kind of a quiet game from BDD. I think this was probably his worst game in the series because like he got the first kill donated to him on Rise. Like they made sure to give him the kill. They didn't do anything with it, right? Like Faker was just 50-50 farming mid. It's not like the Rise was making plays on side. And when you got into the first real fight of the game, which was the third Drake fight, it was just outplayed by T1. Like I was actually triggered so hard watching how like scared deokdam was in this fight because they walked in, they had Talia showing on midwave and they had their Mbessa showing bot lane. So T1 has Talia on midwave, Mbessa bot. They're down 2 Drakes and down 3k gold, and they were walking in to 3 people into a bush where there's a Braum and an Ashe with a Poppy that's not charging ult, Xinjiao and Varus. They're just walking in, and like deokdam gave the bush so easily. Like you're supposed to just sit there and just auto them, like they walk into this bush, you start autoing like Poppy, The Poppy had cleanse, so you don't arrow him. But then if like Xin Zhao walks up, you arrow Xin Zhao. If you arrow Xin Zhao and Xin Zhao ends up ulting, you've won the fight. If Xin Zhao has to fight without ult, it's great for you. So they had like angles to actually start playing, but they just let T1 walk directly into the banana brush. And as soon as T1 got the position, T1 was just able to like win the fight from there. It was a really good W by Keria. He like W'd instantly when the Wukong flashed out to try to engage, and then the fight was just completely over. So I mean, after this game, I was like, yep, 0% chance KT win the series. I said it on stream. I'm like, goodbye to my hair. I feel like you never have a situation versus T1 in any of these like series where you into game, you throw a game like this, and you end up still winning the series. If you give them a free game, like if you lose the game you should win, like they're just gonna clutch it out. Like they'll be able to just get 2 more decent games in out of the next 4. So yeah, it was just GG from there, bro. Like KT had such an insane lead, and yeah, they just lost in the worst way possible. Like, and the thing is, T1 was making so many mistakes this game, and it didn't even matter. Like I mean, I don't know if people even remember this. Do you guys remember when Doran TP'd on the top tier 1 as Ambessa? He just TP'd into like 4 people and just like instantly died. It was like, what the fuck? Like they're actually just running it, and it just didn't matter.
Doran had a series. We'll talk about that as we go on.
Oh yeah, I mean, if you want to know why I hate content creation, it's literally the reaction to this series. Like this is like the shit that I hate the most. It's like, instead of us just being intellectually honest and being like, the story is that T1 carried Doran when Doran was completely fucking useless. Doran had a horrible series, like a horrible series. And this is how you know that this is a horrible series. If T1 lost the series, Doran would have been flamed to the fucking ground. The same T1 fans that are trying to pretend like Doran was part of the team, like he was doing really well in this series. Without him, they wouldn't have been able to win. Those same fans would just be shitting on him if he's the one that cost them worlds. And it looked like he was legitimately going to like cost them worlds at multiple times during the series. And yeah, I mean, like, he just had a horror. Like, even the game 1 where he ended up getting a lot of kills later on, this was not a good Ambessa game. Like, if you look at the amount of missed ults he had in this game, like, he missed an ult top, he TBs to his death. Like, he makes so many mistakes throughout the game, but after they won the Drake fight, they just started out scaling, and they were just able to play, and they just team fought over and over again. If Ryze is just forced to team fight all the time to Talia is going to outvalue you generally. And the game was just... the game was just won by T1, but man, like this was a ridiculous series from Doran. He'll run it down as hard as humanly possible. And the story is like, damn, how good must the core of T1 be to be able to carry a player that's playing like this to a world title? Like that is just fucking insane to me. Like I don't even know how that's possible, but they did it.
Is there any Doran defense here? Like he did get the kills later on, Jamada, or is it just are you on the dunk Doran?
No, like I'm not on the full blown dunk Doran train, but like if you want like parts of game 1, yes. I also feel like deokdam gave Doran a really free game where it's like I don't know if deokdam fully like he just didn't understand.
He's so bad. deokdam is so bad. Like come on.
If you are the last person in the line, brother, you're going to get knocked up. You need to flash. Like I think you can count on more than one hand how many times he got hit by Ambessa ult in situations where there was just like no need. I think that third dragon fight was probably the most excusable one because it was like the ult line was being hid underneath the terrain of the mountain dragon, and then also Oda was like using his ult at the same time. But then beyond that, I feel like he was just getting hit by them. Just raw. That's just raw. Like he could have flashed so many, and he just kind of elected to not.
I mean, the worst part was
KT so much.
The worst part was that BDD was flashing it. They were like right next to each other, and BDD was flashing it, and then deokdam wasn't, and he was just getting hit, and they just instantly lost the fight. So it's tough to watch. But also, like when you're watching these games, I mean, if, Viper is just sitting here watching these games, and he is fucking losing his mind. He's like, bro, if my teammates played like this, I would just win another world. Like if my teammates, if he got to play on KT that series, KT is mega world champs. Like they're mega world champs. They might 3-0 with Viper in this series. So yeah, I don't know, man. Like it was tough.
On the Doran defense though, I do feel like I think one of the other big offenders was like the Sion game, the game 2, where I don't know, it just felt like constantly he was either pressing R and going to a place where there was no return quite a bit. Or it just felt like he was trying to like be the front line, like tank certain skill shots, etc. Just like make sure his team isn't losing that health, but just not understanding where the line was. I think one of the big ones was it was either the third, I think it was the third Drake or maybe the fourth one where they were contesting on midwave, and it's just he got 2,000 out of his 3,000 HP just chunked, like 2/3 of his health gone. And it was only kind of salvaged by the fact that I want to say it was Ona was able to find Cuz over the wall, and they were able to lock him down outside the Raptor pit, and that was the only thing that really like salvaged that sequence predominantly well. That there was like he died at Wolves, I think, when Baron was up, like as in KT's Wolves. He managed to find himself behind tier 1 tower. So there was loads of moments, and of course, though we won't talk about the game fully right now, the back end of game 5 and some of the Camille hook shots were
oh my god,
it's like he was actively trying to
yes, he was like literally trying to lose the game. And you know what's so funny is if you listen to the comms, Faker is like not only like winning a 6th world final, but it's like it's so easy for Faker to win worlds at this point that he's like literally conducting a therapy session with Doran in the middle of the game. Like he's like take a deep breath, and then he's like, yeah. Like, and then he's like, I'm sorry. It's like, no, take a deep breath. It's fine. We got this. This is what we're going to do next. The next fight will be good. Like, he's literally conducting therapy while winning his 6 worlds. It's like, all right, bro. Like, at this point, it's unfair. Like, next time he's going to, like, I don't know what he's going to do. He's going to fucking cook a burger in the middle of the game. Like, what is he going to actually do to make the next world championship that he wins inevitably next year, like, somehow even harder? Like, he won with Doran while conducting therapy. Now he has to do something else, bro. Like, I don't know what the next step is for Faker, but it's like, it's got to be something else, man. Like, he's got to up his game. At this point, it's just getting boring.
Give me Barrel and Door.
Oh my god. Oh my lord.
Let's reignite the fire of the support goat conversation.
Could you imagine like the bum ass timeline where like Genji don't re-sign Duro, they bankroll for carrier, and then Beryl ends up on T1? Like that's just the fucked timeline we get, and that's how Faker has to get Beryl another world championship. Like
I don't know, bro. Like at that point, then they'll reopen the GOAT conversation. It's like Faker will carry the games, and it'll be like, is Beryl better than Carrier? Like, I think he might be, bro. Like, he's won on 3 different teams. Like, Carrier's never done that. I don't know. I just love that conversation so much about like how it's like, okay, well, does that mean that Faker's not the GOAT because he won 6 on the same? He won 6 on T1, unlike Beryl, who won on 2 different organizations. Like, how far does the logic go of like winning on different organizations like somehow makes you like better than Carrier? I don't know. It just makes no sense to me.
Dom, help me. This is basketball reference. When the Lakers won like their last championship, they had I think it was a Jimmy Kimmel segment where they had highlights of a player who didn't play at all or like was on the bench and just cheering. He was a famous player over at Gonzaga. It was Adam Morrison.
Morrison.
Do you remember this? It'd be like Adam Morrison, like finals highlights, and it's him like leaning in and clapping and then like cheering, giving Kobe like a towel off the bench and shit.
Goated segment, to be honest.
Like we could do that with Doran and just do it off of memory. Number 1, the TP in game number 1. Number 2, the Renekton chase, the magical journey on Renekton. Number 3, was it the Scion ult between towers that gave Baron? Number 4, which one of the Camille ones? We could do both Camille ones on 4 and 5. Doran finals highlights. All right. Well, anyways, okay. We could pick on Doran as we continue to go through the games. Game 1, that was a really good look into what the LCK was like, how T1 generally gets punished, and how matches went between KT and T1 in the Legend group when like KT did have a lead and things were going well. I like that in the crucial play, which was that 3rd Drake, it was just that immediate interaction of Cuz and Carrier, right? Because it needed to be Cuz. The gold was on Cuz, and you saw it. I'm not sure if everyone saw it, but that was the play. And if Cuz would have just flash ulted, he would have been fine, but he flashed dash and got knocked up, and then the ult didn't quite work out there. Even then, it's just... you did a great job pointing it out, giving up all that space beforehand with the flanking and Bessa on the other side being zoned out by BDD. That's the difference. That is the T1 magic right there, where you're just afraid of losing it. And because of that, you end up losing.
People are scared of T1, man. They are scared of T1 for sure.
They are. There was also one other part about that third Drake fight, which I thought was kind of strange, and I guess it's definitely up for debate in terms of how you'd want to like have your team formation in that situation. But BDD was covering the flank from Ambessa, and Perfect was on the Raptor entrance, right, the jungle entrance. And he's kind of like angling to come in behind T1 if they kind of tried to commit forward. And there was a point where Faker just got Perfect's flash, just dry, like just Talia WE'd. Perfect's like, nope, not gonna get hit by that. Flashed away, and I feel like, at least from my perspective, that's the point where I would have loved to have seen Perfect wrap back around to the bottom side and then not trade places with BDD, but BDD then actually walk up the river. I don't think you care that much. I think Faker had just used his wall to block the Herald, so he doesn't have an angle to get the wall. I'm happy to be corrected on that part specifically. But then you have Perfect cover the Ambessa. He can always just turn around, press R, and like commit something to the fight if an engage does happen. But then you actually have Rise on the front line to try and reclaim that territory of that brush that Dom was talking about too. That felt like how they should have played it, but then after Perfect blew his flash, it felt like there was too little time between that happening and then KT going, you know what, we need to fight. Like, we've given up too much ground. I know it sounds like very like an idealistic way of how that fight should have played out, but that also kind of felt like the obvious thing is, okay, guys, I just lost my flash. I don't feel like I can play this angle unless they like really hard commit. But then KT make the call to commit, and I feel like for Perfect, it's really hard to play that fight without flash when you're trying to go forward. If basically a lot of the good engage tools get stifled the way they do.
Yeah, like just a very unique situation. Your two main shot callers are already busy doing other shit. BDD's on the bottom side, and Cuz is on the Drake, so you're leaving it to the lesser stars to make a decision, and Perfect already blew his flash. So that was the main portion of game one. Let's move forward into game two. Another 2v2 in the mid lane going the way of BDD and Cuz. And again, just happy that the world gets to see how good these guys are against Faker and Owner. And I think as soon as that happened, I think the kill on the top side happened later on. It was just so much gold on Cuz on Vi. And that's when I was like, oh, fuck. Like, this makes me a little nervous here. And I think things could have changed after that. But really, just the fact that it was all on Vi made it a little tough. What jumped out at you, game number 2 here, Jamada? This was the one where the Scion was there on the opposite side for Doran. dGon getting caught by the flanking Scion in mid lane, which looked like it could have been disaster, but it ended up not happening. And it just kind of a slower game until that mid game explosion where there were like 2 fights in a row, and then the Baron at 33 minutes.
Yeah, it felt like T1. I don't want to say Desperat's a very like strong oversell on it, but it felt like they really wanted to try and put BDD behind, like in the early game especially. But Cuz was there to cover it a lot. BDD played out most of those situations damn near perfect off the top of my head. Like the only times where like sometimes his W usage was a little bit weird, and I think you could definitely tell that perhaps BDD isn't as practiced on Mel as like, you know, his other like
I think
core champions.
I think he was actually just using it for movement speed, to be honest. Like that's what his idea was.
Yeah, it either felt like that a lot of the time, or just I'm not entirely sure what the rationale was on some of his W usage throughout the game, but the one time where I think he got it really fucking spot on was the top lane play, right after Herald had just spawned, where again Faker and Owner trying to just get a catch on him before like a proper Herald fight or like kind of lineup starts. And I think he used it to block the Cataclysm plus one other spell at the same time. And it was just like, okay, Mel just didn't lose 500 HP because she pressed the W. And it gave the rest of KT enough time to come and respond to that play that got them the Herald. And that was what really kind of started that snowball, the gold snowball. Because at that point, KT were already ahead, I think, around 2,000 gold. But had T1 got that pick, I think getting Herald, having it for the next dragon, it would have given them a lot more options for like a third dragon fight. But yeah, honestly, to me, yes, Cuz got a lot of gold, but I think BDD does deserve a lot of the credit from the side of KT. And it just felt very strange from T1, like holistically, to not. It felt like they weren't putting or trying to get as many resources into Guma, I feel like, in that game as you would probably at least like him to try to have. I think it's very hard to play Sivir into that comp, in my opinion, even with the Lulu. But it felt like, yeah, Sivir was kind of going to be your only win con out, especially if you fall behind early like this. And it felt like, to me, T1 really struggled to try and get gold into him consistently. And it wasn't until, again, that third dragon fight where I think he ended up bagging 3, maybe even 4 kills over the entire sequence, just because of how it played out. And then he kind of turned into their win condition where if he did get to free hit, like, he dealt a lot of damage. But the problem was the way those fights played out. It was either Faker or Owner kind of getting one shot when they tried to dive in, Doran getting chunked out too heavily, or just like really good Peter engages. And it wasn't even Peter like engaging onto the backline a lot of the time. It was just him engaging onto the melees and keeping them in place for enough time that Mel or the Ezreal deokdam just choose through the health bars, and that was kind of what won them the fights throughout a lot of that game.
Yeah. Game 2 standouts here, Dom.
I mean, I think this was like definitely the BDD Mel show. Like, I agree with that. Yeah. I would just say, like, overall, I thought it was just like a good draft. I thought Perfect actually played pretty well. Like, this was Rek'Sai game, right? Like, I'm remembering the right game. It was Rek'Sai versus Sion. He did get caught one time, which was like pretty bad. Like, he didn't ult early enough, but I thought that he just did his job. Like, he had pressure on Doran the entire game. Like, he was always like ahead. So I think that this was a decent Perfect game. I mean, Perfect, like, he's learned so many different champions now that it's like, it's weird to call him a one trick, but he always feels like he's performing better on like his main champions, and there's a pretty stark fall off until like the rest of his champs. But yeah, I mean, right now his Rek'Sai like looks good. I mean, he was just playing it. He played it well in the Genji series as well. Like, he just plays everything now. I don't know. Like, he's good, except for the Yorick. You know, the Yorick is maybe where it gets a little bit iffy, but yeah.
Well, you were saying earlier, Dom, how like when T1, if you lose a game like game 1 against T1, you're not going to get the game back. The way I was thinking about it was, how many champs does Perfect have left, right? Because game 1, they got the Rumble and he lost, and that was like their auto win champ. He pulls out the Rek'Sai, I'm like, they're fucked. And then he plays pretty well. He had so much more farm. He loses his Sion because that's what Doran is playing, but they win a game back. So I'm like, oh, maybe this is the game they steal back, and it's okay. They'll be fine. And that was kind of how I remember that game, which then led us into game number 3, and this was the Mundo Cuz show. He locks that one in, doesn't give it to Owner. Syndra being chosen by BDD, and then Renekton for Doran, which is another one of those takeaways against Perfect. So I'm like, you can't win the series here, and we're running out of champions for Perfect. He plays Cassante, and he plays pretty well. This one, I will remember this one as, this is when I thought T1 were going to lose because of the Guma double fail flashes. He fails flash the first time in the Drake pit on the Yunara, and then the second time at the blue buff. They did the replay on it on the global broadcast because I didn't see it live, but at the blue buff, when they were down like 4K or 5K, Perfect's wandering up in the top side of the map by the blue buff, and then T1 collapse. The fight's there, Yunara's ready to go, and he flashes into the wall. They end up leaving. I think it was 3 for 3, but it could have been just a wipe for T1, and they would have been able to get themselves back in the game. Eventually, they end up falling. That to me felt like, oh, fuck. We've seen what win moments are like for teams. That felt like a lose moment for T1. Honestly, that was the reason why I didn't think he should have gotten MVP, but finals MVP. But, you know, people don't remember that. What did you make of game 3 here, Dom?
I mean, this was just the Mundo show. This was Cuz playing super well in the Mundo, and you could tell that it's like they didn't know what to pick into it. They were like Viego, I guess, like, and they were so locked in on the Mundo Alistar 1-2. Like, they just knew that it's like, okay, Silas was gone from the previous game. Mundo Alistar, like fucking 1-2, no counterplay, and they just stomped the whole game from there. So I respected it. I thought it was an interesting take on the champion, because I mean, normally it's like people didn't think this champion was that good. It's like people didn't think it was bad, but people didn't think it was amazing. But I mean, they were, I don't know, they picked it super early and they did super well with it. So it was well done. It was nice to see.
Jamada.
Yeah, I mean, this is actually where I'd like to highlight in general how consistent I feel like KT's drafts were throughout the series. Like, I really liked KT's drafting throughout the series. It always felt like, playing on the fearless chessboard, they were taking stuff away out of T1's pool at the same time as picking up stuff that contextually just made sense. And I feel, again, they just kind of execute on it very well. And inside of this game 3 specifically, I think the thing that actually started off the Cuz show the way that it did was the Doran death. Funnily enough, in between tier 2 and tier 3, because solo kill XP is really broken. Like, it's really not balanced. And I think Doran had been alone long enough that it ended up being a solo kill for Cuz. And it was just like, you could see immediately like the ramifications of how accelerated Cuz looked just because of that one individual kill. So yeah, that's something that I think, like, on a game balance side, they really need to tune, because I've seen it too many times, usually in top lane. But like, if a jungler gets like a free kill like that plus a wave in that kind of time, you just slingshot them almost every single time. And I think Mundo is one of the few junglers in the game at the moment where economically you get like that little 300 gold, 400 gold stimmy. That's it. Like, you will take over the game if the enemy team doesn't have like a super fed member at that moment in time. And yeah, Cuz just felt really unkillable. T1, it didn't really seem like had an answer. And I think the Syndra as well did a lot of work in this game. Again, like, it just felt a lot of this series did feel like Cuz and BDD collectively as a duo were just doing a bunch of the heavy lifting. Because yeah, I just also feel as though whilst Mundo was super unkillable, I think Syndra in that game is just very, very high value. Like, very, very, very high value. A lot of mobility that want to try and come into you a lot of the time. You get free scout of the weeks, you set up for turnarounds. Yeah, I feel like, again, just super freebie for KT on the draft side.
Yeah, and it felt like there was fail moments on T1 side and championship winning moments on the opposite side. The BDD Syndra stun on the Baron pit, the multi-man stun. That I just felt like this is it, man. This is it. The Cuz steal on the Drake earlier as well. It gave hope. It gave hope to those that were looking for a KT win. But then game 4 and Yorick happened. Not punishing Kalista Renata. All right, we'll get into it. Before we do get into those tide turning matches for T1, it's time to remind you about our friends over at Factor. Now, it's getting pretty cold outside, but Factor keeps it hot in the kitchen with more variety and more meals, where you could select from a wider selection of weekly meal options, including premium seafood and like salmon and shrimp at no extra cost. You could support your wellness goals with even more GLP-1 friendly meals and new Mediterranean diet pack options packed with protein and good for you fats, where you could savor global flavors. And now, for the first time, try Asian-inspired meals with bold flavors influenced by China, Thailand, and more. From better choices to better nutrition. That's why 97% of customers say that Factor helped them live a healthier life. Feel the difference no matter what your routine. Dom, you came and visited Korea, and for a little bit, you were having trouble finding what you wanted to eat, right? And now Factor helps you with that as well. How's your journey with Factor been?
It's been great. I mean, I've been doing Factor meals for years now. Still enjoy them. And the thing that's really good about them is that the menu already has like 30 options, but it changes over time. So you just get more and more options as time goes on, which just makes it a really easy thing to just keep on eating. Because, I'm somebody who gets tired of my meals, but they'll always have a different type of meal that'll pop up. Like, recently I started doing the filet mignon. Like, they have like these like 700 calorie steaks, and it's a good steak. I'm surprised that this is like something that can actually be prepackaged like this, because prepackaged steak, it's kind of sounds like it wouldn't be good, but it's like moist, it's juicy, it's a really good steak. So I would recommend that one if you guys haven't got it recently. There's like a garlic steak that's really good there, so look for that.
Boom. Eat smart at factormeals.com/powerspike. 50 off, and use your code powerspike50 off to get 50% off your first box plus free breakfast for 1 year. That's code powerspike50 off at factormeals.com for 50% off your first box plus free breakfast for 1 year. Get delicious, ready to eat meals delivered with Factor. The offer is only valid for new Factor customers with code and qualifying auto renewing subscription purchase. Thanks to our friends over at Factor. Get on track with your nutrition with our friends over at Factor. All right, let's move on into game number 4. This was the Anivia. Anivia gets locked on in, and I feel like I'm not worried about Faker's Anivia, but I guess in that composition, it works pretty well because it's all kind of short range. And also the Kalista Renata for T1, you assume they're going to pick that? You think you're going to, I don't know, pick something else that isn't Tom Kench Caitlyn. And as much as you made the draft point earlier, Jamada, I didn't like this.
This was the one game. Yeah. I mean, this was the one game. I didn't mind the draft holistically. I think like the the problem that I have with the Tom Kench is it just probably means in lane, even though you've picked Caitlyn to answer Kalista range, right, and the overall kind of early prowess. With Tom, what do? Like, all of a sudden, it's like, okay, great. Like, we've got this fantastic AD answer. They've gone Renata. Karma was still up.
Yep.
They could have gone Karma. They could have just done that. They could have gone Lux if they really wanted to. Like, but they can't do it. Like, they know they can't do it. They know if they pick one of those lanes into, like, they don't trust themselves to actually be able to win the Caitlyn Karma lane into Guma and Keria, which is like why game 5 they're first picking Ziggs, right? Like, they're willing to pick anything outside of it. So yeah, I mean, that's like the thing about Caitlyn is they weren't even playing super lane dominant Caitlyn lanes the entire time. Like, they played Caitlyn Nico obviously, but Nico's champion that's obviously banned at this point. It's kind of a cheat code because it's a range support that abuses lane, and then it also scales super well.
Engage.
And gives it engage and everything. So I don't know. For me, it's just like this is just why T1's bot lane was going to be favored in this series, is because they're willing. They just can win these bot lanes pretty consistently, and at some point, deokdam is going to get exposed in the series, and I felt like this is the game that really exposed him.
That made me sad though. Like he plays a good Caitlyn in the LCK. Normally, it's one that he can be known for, and it felt more like a Peter Crutch. Even though it felt like a Peter Crutch to me, and that just was frustrating. It was a missed opportunity. I think it was a little bit. It's like what you said. They didn't trust themselves to win the lane that they should have been able to just counter, and they weren't. I will say though, like outside of the laning phase, Keria had some insane hostile takeovers that hit the width of the Drake, but the width of whatever corridor that they were in. He hit all of it. I think it was like the third Drake. deokdam tried to like squeeze in between the wall and the where the hostile takeover was coming. It just didn't. He ends up like shooting the shit out of BDD. BDD shoots the shit out of him, and then it allows the engage to come on in by T1. And they weren't able to sync up with the Mordekaiser, who I think started off well. It'd be like, okay, let's take Faker out of the fight. Now you guys win this 4v4, and then just never found a foothold back in after that, and that was frustrating for me to see. What else did you make of it, Jamada, outside the draft?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. This was the game, and this was kind of the trend, I suppose, really throughout the series, where it did feel like if KT don't get, and this is just part and parcel of playing versus T1, right? Especially doubly so in the World Finals a lot of the time. You don't get an early lead. You don't feel like you have like a very consistent way to play the game. It felt like KT just fell apart, right? Yes, we highlighted the draft had a really big part of that, but it just felt as though they had no gameplay answer. Like they couldn't really think outside of the box to try or again, angle it different ways. Drake fight to Drake fight, though they didn't really have too many opportunities. I think it was only really like 3 big fights in that game before it kind of became very apparent that they just couldn't contest anymore or keep up with the gold that T1 managed to get. And again, point towards perfect on the Mordekaiser. I feel like this world, we've seen Mordekaiser show up like a handful of times, and I feel like each time that it showed up, I feel like I watched the Mordekaiser make suboptimal choices between either like ult targets or like positioning, where I feel like a lot of the time you can even take out the weakest target out of a team as Mordekaiser, just murder them for the sake of murdering them, and that works fine. Like you don't always have to take like the Fed member, or in this case, like Anivia is definitely like the problematic champion for KT's composition, right? I think everyone can agree on that. you don't have to always ult that guy, right? as like almost as counterintuitive as it sounds, you can ult carrier a lot of the time, and you will actually just get pretty decent value out of that. Or Doran, or just basically anyone that isn't the Anivia. And it felt like throughout a lot of this world, not just inside of this game, but in isolation of this game, he did get a little bit tunnel vision on that. And then even later on when he switched targets, I think he ulted Guma. It's like, I don't think he had Rylai's for basically actually the entire game. And it's like, well, okay, great. Kallista's gonna kite you and probably dodge every ability because she hops. So like the likelihood that you're hitting an E, especially like Q, you might be able to land. I think the cast time is quick enough, but like if Guma gets hit by that drag back from Mordekaiser, that's probably Guma's fault. Like that's actually how that is. That's how slow the cast time is. So yeah, I don't know. It just felt like perfect as well, not to like almost bully the guy because he definitely was the weakest performer throughout the series, I think, by the end of it. But I feel like he couldn't really adapt, and KT couldn't really find an angle, unfortunately. And I think by the time the Baron spawned, like the game was already over. It's like a 5k deficit. Compositionally, the only person left was like BDD that could maybe do something. And Cuz also felt really homeless despite being super fed at the same time. I think he was the only member in the game that was even gold by this point. But even on that trundle, it's just like, yeah, I can't really do much alone if no one else is really like a champ. So yeah, just kind of sucked. And again, I feel like the Tahm Kench didn't provide a lot of value, right? And that's kind of what, if you're saving counterpick for especially support into T1, I think that's you just need value out of your support pick, and they just couldn't find it from start to finish.
Yeah. 2 clips to go into the Doran MVP mixtape. The first one was at the Drake. It was his cask that missed BDD, and that's when BDD got the 4-man Cassiopeia ult. Yep. Like that was a good one. And then actually the good play, he gets ulted in the pit for like, I think it was Chemtech Soul, and by Mordekaiser. He dashes over the wall. Mordekaiser flashes into the corner where the tri-bush is, and then he flashes back on over. That was a nice juke. That one was actually a nice juke. And then Mordekaiser comes back on top of an Anivia, and all of a sudden it now just becomes a 50-50 on the Drake, and they get it, and then they win the game. So at least he had that one. Doran had a play there. They get the Drake. They end up closing this one out. This was pretty lopsided, which leads us to game number 5. And there was an angle. I think I was watching with the LCK guys, and there was an angle for Perfect. I forgot what champion was still up that I think he could have played that wasn't Yorick. But he ends up locking Yorick. And that, I think it was Gnar. We're like, maybe Gnar. Maybe he can Gnar this. And he goes Yorick. And then the other one is Smolder, right?
He should have blinded
Jax. The Tristana.
Jax.
Oh, Jax. Yeah. That's what it was. It was Jax. It was Jax.
Okay.
His win rate on Jax was like not bad.
I mean, the thing is, it's like when they're going Galio, they're saying we want to go Camille Galio, like straight up. Like they're showing their whole hand. So you just go Jax there, because then if they go Camille Galio, then you at least have Jax into Camille, which is like a winning lane, right? Like it's not easy for the enemy team to play into Jax, because Jax will win side lane against Camille for the majority of the game. So yeah, I mean, it's just like I think it's a mistaken draft. But also it's like it's pretty hard to find anything. I mean, all the PL champions are out at this point, so that's why T1 won for this comp. They just think that there's no counterplay to the actual 5v5s of Camille Galio. That's the idea.
What did you make of the Smolder there at the end, right? It felt like there was a handful that he could have gone with. Goes with the Smolder instead. Was there something else you wanted to see BDD on, given the series that he was having?
No, he had to go Smolder there. I said it on stream. It's like there's only one pick. Like he could maybe go Tristana, but Tristana is hard. I mean, Tristana, the idea is that you can ulti the Camille after the Camille ults, but if you do it, there's actually like a delay between when you ult Camille out of her ult and when you can actually like exit the zone, and by that time you get Galio ulted and you're fucked. So I mean, there's not really anything to do there. I mean, they have to go in AD mid with their comp, so it's just kind of GG. I mean, it's still winnable, but you have to split push.
This would comically be the game where you wouldn't mind having Tahm Kench, in my opinion. But yeah, I do feel as though BDD, I think he made the right choice. Like I think Smolder is the right choice. Like it sucks. You're going to be playing into Galio. There will be times where he will just cheat a wave. He'll drop a wave. He won't care. He'll go make side lane play. And if Perfect or Duckdam and Pia can't hold, then fucking sucks. Like that's how it is. At least your Smolder's getting a little bit of cash back in mid. But yeah, it just fell apart, man. I don't know what else to say. Like every single engagement I think in this game, start to finish, bar the one random top dive, pretty much. I'm pretty sure it was top, and at this point the game was like mega over. T1 were just kind of wiping the floor, and I think the early camp onto Perfect kind of just made sense, right? It's like, okay, we have Camille Galio. What would be awesome in this Camille Galio comp if Camille is ahead? Like it's just 1-on-1 equals 2, right? And how often do you really see junglers come off of a full clear? Especially like situation like this, yes, maybe you can be like, maybe some weird shit will happen because it's game 5 and like this is the perfect time for a curveball. But I think when you're in that mentality as a top laner, you're probably just thinking, yeah, Pantheon's not going to be here till 3:15, and then I can drop a ward at 3 maybe if I've got prio, and that's just like mentally where you're at. But yeah, just the repeat focus onto Perfect, I think, just to pretty much use him as a sack of gold basically for T1. Made enough sense, and even though KT got those early dragons, right, which Sejuani, Smolder, Ziggs, you don't think that's the comp that's going to be getting the early dragons, but they do anyway. It kind of just felt like a bit of a nothing burger. Or I think they only got the first Drake. I think that was the second Drake was maybe a 50-50 off the top of my head. It feels like so long ago almost, this series, but
they got the third Drake.
They got the third Drake. That's why I'm thinking they got the first 2. Yeah, just kind of washed on the map, unfortunately. And it sucks because I think that this comp holistically is still fine, even with the Yorick there, even though I don't like the Yorick. Like, still got Smolder and Ziggs. You're gonna have more than decent wave clear. You can hold as long as you don't let things get too out of control. And especially once that second Drake is there, it's just like, well, you don't have to really force or be in a position where you're getting engaged on pretty much ever. And they still kind of fell for it in the end. But that's more credit to T1, right? T1 forced the icon, they make things happen, and then PR walks face first into an MFO channel start to finish.
I saw some wild tweets. I don't know if you guys saw the tweets off this one.
No, I didn't get to see them. What was spawning from that moment? Because that to me was really what broke the game. Like T1 get icon, okay, like fine, you can maybe live with like an icon deficit, but the fact that then they get aced off the back, that's when the game's over. Like that's when like it's just fucked.
That's
awful. I mean, people. I mean, I don't know. I can't say what
don't say
the tweets were, but I mean, it was.
He got hungry for a hook after he realized. I think what it really showed was that the amount of pressure that he was feeling and that he was under. Right, he could have walked out. He could have engaged in, but the fact that he hesitated back and forth and took the whole thing to the face was pretty.
Yeah, I mean,
pretty disappointing.
It was pretty low. It was pretty low. Like, all I'm saying is On got insanely flamed for less. But I mean, it's because like KT's, the underdog story, like BLG actually had some level of expectation to win. I don't know anyone that actually thought KT was going to win this series. Like, no one thought they were actually going to win the series going in. It was just like, T1's going to win for sure. It's like, it's too hard.
40 maybe, like for a hopeful booter, maybe more like 60, like 2/3. But
there's a reason why I had the Clippers prepared. Like, there was a reason why I went out the day before and got the Clippers. Like, it was over.
Yeah, I remember the champion, but I think it was just buoyed by LCK Cup stats. It was Jace. He played a lot of Jace early in the year and was pretty comfortable on it, and I think it could have changed the composition. That
if you go Jace into
stacked.
Yeah, if you go Jace into Camille Galio Pantheon, you're gonna die a million times.
I mean, he died a million times on Yorick anyways. And then they were like, let's have team fight Yorick. We know team fight Yorick doesn't work, just like we know that engage.
Yeah, I mean, I hope that they were planning on going into the game not to lose on purpose. But if they were planning to lose on purpose, then I agree with you. Like, if they were going into it like saying like, oh well, we're gonna just die a million times no matter what. It's like, I don't know what champion you draft if that's like the case. Karthus top. Like I don't know what you draft
Quinn.
if you're planning to die a million times. Quinn is pretty bad from behind.
All right. Well, either way, that was a series by drafts and by a couple of highlight plays there. T1 win their 6th organizational championship, 6 for Faker, 3 for this squad. The back-to-back-to-back that wasn't able to be accomplished last time with the OG roster. I guess not the OG roster, the second generation roster. It is done. Final thoughts on KT, on their run, making it here, what you learned about them, who you want to stay on the team, all that good stuff. Either one of you.
Well, I hope for BDD's sake, he's at greener pastures, or greener pastures come to him somehow.
Yeah.
That's probably the more likely pathing.
Well, KT doesn't want to spend money, right?
Yeah,
They
I
might
think
now.
so.
I again, like, I mean, you were here in Korea, Dom, like you saw like how much, like, I mean, it's not everywhere, but it's around. Like, League is around, and they were celebrating it a lot, especially, you know, the 3 other teams. Like, there was the Burger King Gen G collaboration that happened. Hanwha's on the big building, the Hanwha Life building. They have like the team on the building, and then KT was in like the Myeongdong, the Hongdae KT store. They have like a whole like shrine to the team.
Wait, really? I was on Hongdae. I didn't even see it.
Yeah, I mean, it was there. Like, it was all over. So maybe. The answer is maybe. You're right.
I don't know.
It is a budget
It's
team
like,
that made it there, but maybe.
Like, Hanwha Life is the team that wants to spend money to win, right?
Yeah.
Like, that's the team that's really trying to just like
money
buy.
Not money.
Yeah,
ball.
I was gonna say KT's the money ball team, right?
Yeah.
Isn't KT the team that's trying to money ball perma?
Yeah, I said the wrong term. They're trying to buy a win. They're trying to Dodgers it.
Yep.
Jamada?
Yeah, I mean, in fairness, right? I think to be kind, because I don't think there's a need to be harsh. Like, KT were a meme for a fair portion of this year, right? Like, it really was BDD and 4 wards, and then it transformed into BDD and Cuz sometimes. Then it transformed into BDD and Cuz. And then throughout summer playoffs, you know, we got a lot more from deokdam and Pia, right? Yes, definitely, for sure. We can make some comments if we'd like on the format and how KT managed to get there, right? If you really want to be super cynical. But this roster definitely had a massive glow up, you know, throughout top 8, and, you know, the general, just their overall performance as well. It's like, this was probably the first time, or maybe the second time throughout the year, for a consistent stint where KT actually looked like a serious team. Right? I think the other time where you could probably highlight would be pretty much like Road to MSI, the double like 3-0 sweep, where it's like, hold on, are KT good enough maybe to even upset T1? Like, that was kind of the mentality, right? Going into Road to MSI.
Yep.
So I think the fact that, you know, for them, things turned on, and then they make this fantastic run to Worlds Finals. They beat out Gen G, and they do it convincingly, right? Yes, we can talk about how Gen G choked, or however you want to like approach the angle of that series. But end result's the end result, right? They still fucking won.
Fucking Gen G, man.
Fucking Gen G. But like, going 5 games, right? And you could argue, and I know people hate when people do this, but I don't care. I think it's always a valid argument. They could have 3-0'd T1. Like, yes, things could have gone differently after a game 1 win, but the state of game 1 was, frankly, one that had a very easy path to victory. Like, from that 3rd Drake, if they win that 3rd Drake fight, they probably run over the rest of that game, right? I think that's a very likely reality. So I think that's kind of the bittersweet moment of considering, especially where they came from, to be that close to winning it all. That's always going to feel bad, but I think they can still hold their heads high and feel proud in the journey that they took to get there, because it was a fucking roller coaster, as it were.
I wish I wish, because we really got to see all the different flavors of KT except deokdam. He played so well from LCK playoffs until that series, I'd say, until like maybe the series before that. He was playing really well, and yeah, because we got to see
played
what
well
Peter's
compared
like.
to the expectations that he had. I'll say that.
I mean, the Gen G series that they beat them in, he did his job. Like a lot of the credit goes to BDD and Cuz, but there were some times where more credit deserved to go to him.
I mean, it's like he did his job, but they were drafting like the most winning lanes ever, and then they were like not even winning that hard. They were like up like 5 CS, 7 CS against like Ruler is drafting Corky Rakan into like Caitlyn Nico and shit like this, or like maybe it wasn't Caitlyn Nico, maybe it was Ash Nico in the first game, but I mean no, because it was Ash Lulu in the next game, but it was like some abusive lane, and they're just playing the lane out, and it's completely fine for some reason. So it's like the expectations were just low enough that people will say that he like did super well, but like I mean I would say Ruler and Viper look like vastly superior players.
Yeah, I agree. I was talking about the LCK playoffs, back in LCK playoffs, but
yeah, I mean LCK playoffs, it was
he played well. He played well there, and he just didn't.
I don't know. It's like
games.
It's like LCK playoffs. Like what? This is what people do with LCK playoffs. Like he played well in the first Gen G series, and then when they got like double 3-0 fisted by like Hanwha Life and like Gen G, that's just like not considered playoffs anymore. Is how I feel.
That wasn't
like
his fault. That's what I mean. Like that was fucking perfect, and Peter and Cuz a little bit, I think, having a lot more trouble there. Like, I feel like the deokdam defender in me, I don't want to defend that much. I really don't. But I did want to give him his credit. And he didn't earn it in the finals. That makes me sad. And then let's move over to T1, the greatest team to ever do it. Watching history being made live. Faker manages his UniChef, thing, and the Make-A-Wish Foundation thing, and having dinner with Sunny, and also the head of EWC, and then goes and does it again with all the pressure on, with an
with the head of EWC. Jesus, wait, what? Where did all this come from? Wait, he went to dinner with the head of EWC recently, or?
No. There was like a remember T1 did a post. It was like people he would most like to have.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You remember that? I'm just saying, like, he balances all of that and then shows up and then
with going to dinner with war criminals. Like, wait, I'm missing the point here. Wait, what?
He has his outside of the game responsibilities, and then does his inside of the game performance to a level that we just never see, other than Tom Brady, Michael Jordan, I guess Bill Russell, if we're going to just count a ton of championships. Like, I guess we're kind of seeing it with Shohei Ohtani. It's history being made over and over again. And as much as it can be tiresome with a lack of analytical conversation with the fan base sometimes, it is awesome to watch over and over again. And he's signed for 4 more years, so it feels like it's going to continue on. What do you think of this T1 greatness here, and how much they are able to do it when it matters the most in Worlds?
Go on, Dom.
Who, me?
Go on.
I mean, I think it's impressive.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think it's super impressive. Like, I'm somebody who's, I mean, I respect what it is. Like, it's like they clutch up the most. They look like by far the most clutch team when it comes to super like high amounts of pressure. They deal with it better than anyone else. And they're able to do it at times where like it doesn't look like they should win. Like the BLG series, like it didn't feel like they should win this series based on how like the first games were going, right? And like the lead that happened in game 4, and they just like clutch it out over like every team. So to me, I respect it a lot. I think that they're super insane for that. The only thing that I don't like is the narratives, right? Like that's the only thing that I don't like is that when we have discussions about it, we go so far in the other direction that it just feels like we're not even being intellectually honest with like what's going on. So yeah, that's pretty much how I feel about it. I mean, it's not like I'm not like if we had intellectually honest discussions about T1, I don't think that I would be like the T1 hater guy, right? Like, I feel like the reason why I'm the T1 hater guy is because, well, number one, the organization wronged me, so I don't like the organization, and I think the fans are ill. But then also, like, it ends up being that if you say anything that is contrary to what like the public opinion just wants to like overly glaze to the point where it's like complete fandom, it's not honest, like whatever. And if you like push back against that at all, then you're a hater. Like I feel like that's where we are. So yeah, that's like and if you push back against that, then you're just the bad guy. So I mean that to me is the reason why I'm like always saying what I'm saying, is because I just don't like the way that we have these discussions. I feel like it's very dishonest.
Sure. Jamada, it is glazing time.
Yeah.
It is the end of the championship season, and they win again.
It is. And I mean, I think T1, again, discussions can be had about the format, all of that kind of stuff, right? At the end of the day, they won. Two, I do feel like there was enough tape this year, as even if you feel like it's annoying that they won, wherever you like stand on the spectrum of that take, they were never ridiculously far away from being like first place, right? I think again, for a lot of us, it does feel like a lot of the time that we don't like, at least at Worlds, and then now that we've had like MSI in the format that it's in, like, bro, I just think it blows that we don't get more games of Worlds to kind of see where the story can keep on going, right? Where it's like this tournament, not to try and depreciate what T1 have done this tournament, they basically beat AL and then like this like steroided up version of KT and World Championship. And I'm not saying they don't deserve the World Championship. They definitely do. But I think that's what's going to make people feel like a particular way about this year, if they do feel a particular way about this year. But yeah, just again, very incredible story. Right from the bounce back at MSI, staying the strongest team to like having to come in through play-in. Yes, like a bit of a meme, I think, for many. But like Dom also mentioned, just like the clutch factor. I think one thing that I always bring up, and people seem to take it as like a negative, but I think one thing is that the universe favors them like a lot, and that's not a bad thing. Like, I think it's a skill in of itself to, in those moments, take the best of those situations when they come at you. And I think T1 are also probably the best team at the world at doing that a lot of the time. So yeah, fantastic year. Like, even if you just kind of look at the results of, how things played out even early on, right? If it weren't for the like shitty ass Winter Cup format, like there's a real conversation that they could have definitely gone further. They had to deal with the Guma Smash situation, still bounced back, made it to the MSI, came second to MSI. Like, still a very, very strong year, just a very tumultuous one. I think the fact that it was crowned off by Worlds is obviously going to feel like a very good one.
Yep. And here's the thing: is like now this is where this is where we go into it, right? Because after they've won this Worlds, you absolutely have to give them all the Team of the Year awards in every single Esports awards, league awards, like every single game, right? Like, you have to, right? Like, there's no other option.
I'll let you know. Go into.
I mean, at least this. I feel like at least this year there's like a stronger argument for it compared to last year.
Well, exactly, but that's the whole point.
But,
is that like if you didn't, you gave it to them last year when they had like a pretty bad year in comparison. Like they were nowhere close to as good as they were at this MSI. They were nowhere close to as good as they were in summer, even if they ended up getting fourth place the same way. Like, T1 was a much stronger team over the course of this year than they were last year. So we've already set the precedent that they are the Team of the Year when they like win Worlds and have a horrible year, like a bad year in comparison, like where fans like don't believe in them at all. This year is better. Now you have to give them all the awards again. Like, now you have to give them everything.
So I'll
going forward.
league.
I mean, there's no option. Like literally, there's no other option. Like you have to do it.
Well, we voted earlier this year for LCK at least. I from what I think we voted after regular season. I think it was a regular season.
But I mean, I'm talking about like league awards, esports awards, like all these.
Also, we did get an email from LCK, or I got an email from LCK. We're going to be doing voting on a couple of different awards. Only four after Worlds. So it's Player of the Year, Rise Award, which I think is like Comeback Player of the Year. Best Moment Award has to be the Bros beating DNF down 11,000 gold. And then I bet like they're probably just gonna pick like T1 wins Worlds again or some shit. But like it should be the pros beating them. And then Sportsmanship Award, which I assume would go to Peanut. I'm voting Peanut, so that's that. But yeah, T1 history makers yet again. They do it yet again. And that closes the chapter in the 2025 LoL Esports season. What a year it was. They found a way to get it done. But it does mean we are very, very close to the 2026 season starting. And more importantly, 2 days away from all those 2025 contracts ending, because they generally end either the day after Worlds or, more importantly, November 17th, the Monday. I guess a week, 10 days after Worlds or 9 days after Worlds. So LCK dominoes about to fall. This happened last year, right? This is the beginning of like the Hanwha Life Zeus chapter. It was in this time frame where these meetings were happening and all that stuff kind of came to fruition. They have been happening, and I'll have some of those things for you in just a little bit. But before we do, it's time to dive into a unique format that has been rumored to be coming out. It is coaching voice comms for a couple of different regions. So this is a thing that has been leaked. It is been alluded to, but that is going to be the topic of our Mint Mobile Listen Up coach voice comms for 2026. So we're not going to necessarily dive into how it's going to be used and all that stuff, but what does that mean for the game? So it's our Mint Mobile Listen Up coach voice comms for 2026. Okay, let's get into it. All right. So, Jamada, voice coach comms. How does this kind of work itself out? Because I imagine it's just going to be like, they're not going to, I don't know if they're going to pause a game or if it's just going to be like, hey, you're allowed to talk to them for 15 seconds, 45 seconds, 30 seconds while the game's happening. Like, how do you see this kind of change coming on up? Let me see if I can find the information on it.
It feels like an American proposed this change. That's what it feels like to me as a European. Because, like,
I mean, the theory that the fans have is that this is like a change to ruin T1 and like improve Genji. That's like the thing is that like this is supposed to be like a really
is that one of the running narratives? That's one of the running narratives?
Yeah.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah.
I mean,
is that it's like because like it's supposed to help because the thing that they said was that it's supposed to like be used to help the coaches calm down the players, and it's like, so they're doing anything to stop Genji from choking is the narrative. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, the place that my head goes to immediately is just like the logistics of this, right? Like, it's not like a traditional sport where, you know, everyone's watching the game and so are the players. Like, there are layers of information that are hidden from, you know, the players on the field. So it's like, okay, immediately the first thing is, for the coaches, do they now magically have to be watching the game from PGM?
Yeah,
but they have to be watching it from their player. Like, that's the first, that has to get sorted, right? So okay, cool. Let's say that's happening. Sure. Like that is the baseline. That has to be the immediate change that has to go on. But then it's like, what information are you even allowed to give out? Because it's like, or what are you even allowed to communicate with the players? Because like, if you're watching from air quotes God view, it's not even technically God view if you're only watching from your player's POV. But it's like, if there's something that you as a coach have seen, but your players have not seen, are you allowed to like pause the game and point out? Like, surely that's not going to be something that you can be allowed to do, right? because that just fundamentally breaks the game. Another thing that a lot of ex-pro players and some like active pro players brought up is like, well, the flow of the game. Like that's a very big deal for a lot of players. And being in a game, mentally where you're at inside the game, then boom, pause. How many stories have you heard of people getting taken out of the moment of like, oh shit, like I'm not I'm not this like 3-0 Vi. I'm not a 3-0 Vi at 20 minutes who can like run the game. I'm, cuz like sat here in this chair with 40,000 people around me, and all of a sudden I've got like just try to. How does that ever happen? And yeah, it just. I think the theory of it is super cool, and it's something that people have obviously been talking about for a long time. Obviously, traditional sports, you get timeout timers, where it's like, okay, like coaches like quickly huddle players, talk about whatever the hell they need to talk about. Another like setting where this is very common is a lot of the FPS games, right? Where the coaches stay on stage and they will talk with their team in between rounds, to just kind of adjust round to round strategy. FGC as well. It's not uncommon to see coaches actually sit over shoulder if a team has or if a player has an individual like coach to do that. You see that a lot as well. But there's no, again, the issue is to me is the information available at hand. There are no like layers of hidden information away from you, which you kind of can't play around. So that's what I'm concerned about. And I think realistically, this change probably is almost always going to be for the worst, especially because of like the gameplay loop of League of Legends is more or less kind of anchored right now on that kind of 5-minute timer of dragons or just like the general objectives. If you break that up with pause timers from coaches, especially if you give more than one to each team, it's just going to be a fucking horrible viewing experience. So
yeah, you're going to give 3 45 the proposed change is 3 45-second timeouts.
Whoa.
So it's gonna be really bad. It's gonna be extremely bad for League of Legends. Like I don't think there's any other way to even view it. Yeah, it's just gonna be horrible. I mean, like the way that the way that it's going to end up working just doesn't even make sense to me in like the first place. So it's like, so how are coaches going to even do it? Like these are all the things that coaches are going to have to figure out, right? Is how do you even have your coaches spread? Because like, do all your coaches have to view it from only the players do, or do you have one coach that sits behind the stage and they're gonna be like the one that's like in the game, and then you're gonna have the other coach outside of the game, but then your coaches can't communicate, so then you can't prep draft as coaches together. Also, it's like when you think about League of Legends is a game where it's supposed to be extremely important to be able to manage your mental stack. Like being able to remember like what's going on in the game while doing all the other stuff that you have to do in general, like as a player. So, you're doing camps as a jungler, but you're also checking every single lane. You're trying to remember the Drake timer. You're trying to, think about all your camp timers, where the crab spawning, who has flashes. Like you're supposed to be managing all this stuff. Like that is the game of League of Legends. You're supposed to be managing all this stuff while simultaneously playing the game physically. So yeah, I mean, I think like as someone who's probably going to benefit from this change, like I just think it's a horrible change. Like I just don't see how this could be used in League of Legends and not just be like, just really negative in general. But they're doing it, so we'll see. I mean, also 3 45-second pauses. I mean, just think about that. Each team is probably going to use each of their 45-second pauses every single game. So it's like you're just tacking on an extra like 3 minutes, and then it's like the time before the pause, the time in the pause, time after the pause, right? Like it's gonna be very bad for League of Legends.
I think the only way it could reasonably work is, again, like coaches have to be watching like a spectate client with only their team's vision on.
Yes.
And then
of course,
it would have to be
that's a given. That's not even like a
which of course, but like there will be people that like forget about this. Genuinely, like I promise, like that will like unironically be a thing. But then I think about it kind of a lot like F1, where it's like the drivers have the engineer in their ear, like feeding them information. I feel like that's the only way you could implement this without it like being completely horrible. Is it has to like there has to be some kind of regulation. And again, I don't know how this ever gets checked or done like appropriately, but it has to be like in air quotes dead time. Like that's the only time when you could like reasonably have, in my opinion, like coach to player like communication. excuse me, and it not like fuck up the flow of the game, because otherwise, like, it's just, yeah, if you've got these like pause time again, it just feels so American, man. Like, if you've got all these pause timers, everything is just gonna feel horrible. So yeah, it would have to be implemented kind of akin to that, and even that is gonna, like, I think it would have to go through like officials have to like green light that, yeah, this is an okay time for like coach to talk to players, and that opens a whole can of worms by itself, where it's like, what if an official deems that coach can't talk to players right now because XYZ thing is happening, like, yeah, stuff like that. So I don't know, I think that's the only way you could maybe get it to work, and I don't think the hassle is worth the potential payoff.
I don't think there'll be a potential payoff. Like, no one wants to go into like an objective fight or like it, like, break the buttons, like, and this team has called their timeout, and then like the timeout is, you don't even know. I mean, I don't know. Are they going to listen into the timeouts? Like in pro sports, you can't, right? So you can't even listen to it. So you don't even know what the fuck happened. And then like the fight will be like played anyway. And it's like, is this the coach's fault that this happened like this? Like, what the fuck is going on? I don't know, man. I just think it's going to be just it's just going to be a clusterfuck, man. Like,
I just thought of two other things as well. It's like, if you think about it, like, realistically, especially in the West, like, how many coaches' opinions do like players genuinely respect? Like, when they're in the middle of a game, like, they're not trying to hear a third opinion right now. If it's not coming from your teammates sat to your left or your right, you don't give a fuck about who's talking about the game most of the time. So that's also another thing that I just thought. And especially imagine in a dysfunctional team where it's like, hey, CV Max just called a pause. Showmaker, I need you to do this.
Don't worry, we're diving into that next.
Yeah, I mean, I know we're gonna touch it in a second, but like, imagine that's what's going on. Like, oh my god, like, it's just it's gonna be too distracting. But then another cynical part, which I in part actually just kind of stole from chat, but I think it's kind of valid. Doesn't it kind of feel like another way to potentially shoehorn in like visible ads on the screen for a second, which again just feels so uniquely American, because that's how it would have to be. It's like game pause, come out of game, like maybe like a fucking ticker at the bottom of like, sponsored by XYZ. Like, is that not just, that's just it just seems fucking silly to me. Yeah, that's it.
I think I wasn't included in these emails, so I don't know any emails, because I got this information from Sheep Esports, who said they obtained an email talking about it, but I wasn't in there, so I'm fully speculating. I think one, I don't like it and I don't want it, but if you're gonna do it because of the viewer experience and the pausing and the stop-start nature of it, if it was just like, if the coaches would like push a button to talk, and then it starts their 45 seconds, and then on the broadcast you can see like
like
talk initiated,
like in F1. Like in F1 you get the little pop-up and
a little pop-up, but it doesn't stop the game. Like, I think that would be interesting, because then you have to tactically know, hey, there's no fight coming up, or I don't want to distract someone from getting ganked, or like that would have a little bit of a competitive thing there. But Jamada, I really like your idea of like, if it's a pause and it's more space that we could sell money and get sell ads to make money, like that actually sounds like what Riot would be thinking. So I don't know.
It's a very, very strange way to like change something that I don't think anyone wants this, to be honest. Like even some coaches probably don't want it. I mean, like, I think it will obviously heavily benefit teams that have a ex-pro player as a coach. Like, you're not going to want your, I would assume you don't want like your head coach that's never played a competitive game to like be watching with, fog on and then be giving feedback. So it's like a benefit to like ex-pro player coaches, but it just seems like really unnecessary. I mean, also just, it's just not even League of Legends anymore. I feel like the beauty of League of Legends is the fact that people can make mistakes. Like, I think that's what people like about it. The further we go to like perfecting it in a way, I mean, I think it makes the game worse, which is why they try to limit information. Like, that's the opposite of how they've viewed the game before, right? Like, for example, in season 6 and 7 before season 8, it took so fucking long for anyone to die in the game because everyone had perfect vision. Like, people just understood, okay, there's not that many like places on the map, so we are going to ward everything. Everyone could buy wards. Everything was warded all the time. And you just yeah, you just end up having like a situation where everyone knows what's going on and no one dies, and you just show up to objective fights. It's like whoever's comp is better. And the reason why they removed this is because they wanted more interaction between teams. They wanted you to have imperfect information so you actually had to play the game. So it's weird that they're now going the other direction where it's like, no, we want to like make it as, I don't know, like I don't even know what the word would be, but they're trying to just make it as like stiff as possible, I guess.
I liken it like if we're talking about the type of team fights and the type of action that you would get, it's less of like sprinter, not even sprinter, just being nimble, like being agile and going back towards like powerlifting. Like it's just explosive. You know what it is. You're either gonna lift the bar and get it up or not. And that's kind of what it feels like. With this information, you're just gonna know what the fight and the situation is going to be and execute. It's going to be a lot more execute focused if you have a good coach. But who knows? We'll see. We'll see if they even do it. But one of the big changes here coming up in 2026. You know what else is coming up? The holidays are coming up, which means you got to get yourself some gifts for people. And a lot of gifts that you could give could end up being just tossed out, not quite useful. So why don't you get yourself the gift of mobile? That's right. Mint Mobile and their best deal of the year on the largest 5G network in the nation is here. You can get yourself a 3, 6, or 12-month unlimited plan right now for $15 a month. All Mint plans come with high-speed data and unlimited talk and text. You can bring your current phone and phone number over to Mint Mobile with no contracts and no nonsense. If you haven't heard it before, I changed my US number and US phone over to Mint Mobile so that here in Korea, it's still very easy for me to use. It's way more affordable for me to use, just more effective in terms of the network that I need to use. And when I'm going back next week. That's right. Mint Mobile has me covered. So don't get your friends, your loved ones socks. Get them premium wireless for $15 a month. Shop Mint unlimited plans at mintmobile.com/powerspike. That's mintmobile.com/powerspike. Limited time offer, upfront payment of $45 for 3 months, $90 for 6 months, or $180 for 12 months. Plans required 15 months equivalent. Taxes and fees extra. Initial plan term only. Over 35 gigabits may slow when the network is busy. Capable device required. Availability, speed, and coverage varies. See mintmobile.com. Thanks to our friends over at Mint Mobile. This has been the Mint Mobile Listen Up. If you've been listening in the space for rumors, you've had a lot of rumors fly about. A lot of them not true, except in the LPL. A lot of the ones in the LPL have been kind of true. I've been doing a lot of and getting fed a lot of information about the LPL this offseason specifically. One thing that was noted to me is that agents are just way more open and brash about talking about rumors and things in their space. And one thing that you ended up getting from the LCK that wasn't a rumor was the Dplus Kia documentary. Now, this thing came out like a fireball. It is behind a paid membership subscription, but it harkens back to the old days when Dom was playing back in the good old NALCS. It's a full-on documentary that kind of burns the house down in the name of content. If you haven't seen it, there's a tweet over by LPL at LPL Fan Club that does a quick synopsis of it. It says, the Dplus's new documentary just dropped. Major internal drama, becoming very controversial in our community or in community. Shiwu barely spoke to teammates, sometimes only typed in-game. Lucid caught on camera using a harsh Korean insult towards Showmaker, which is very against Korean culture. He is the Hyung, the older brother. And then coaching chaos, Bengi sidelined, And CV Max basically ran the team, doing most of the work, draft meetings full of blame shifting. The Long Road Back to Glory, the original documentary for Dplus Kia. A lot of us at the LCK had reservations about CV Max coming back from his JDG stint where he left early. He had some sickness and didn't quite work out, being let go early.
He left early because of a sickness, Kappa.
And then being brought on to Dplus Kia, who started off hot, very hot at the beginning of the year at the LCK Cup. They were the 3rd seed and did well, eventually faltering in that split 1 and 2, the spring split, becoming the favorites in the Rise group rather than in the Legend group. So they brought in CV Max. How did it fit? How did it all work together? Is CV Max in the front? Is Bengi going to still be in front? Bengi was still the head coach. A lot of this covers that, and it kind of gives an insight into Dplus Kia. And I think for those of us in the West that have seen it, the OGs that have seen it, this feels like Breaking Point 2.0. Dom, what do you make of this? Just this whole situation, the documentary being released, hearing some of the stuff about CV Max, hearing some of the stuff about the players. What do you make of it?
I don't know. I just feel like it's when I listen to the CV Max stuff, it's just like, I wonder why every CV Max team always has drama. It just feels like it's too crazy that CV Max goes to every team and then there's just some crazy shit that ends up coming out. Like, it has to be partly his fault, unless he's just the most unlucky guy of all time. Also, I don't really believe in this stuff where it's like I don't believe that he was actually so sick that he needed to go back to Korea immediately, because you got to remember the other report that came out was that he had an altercation with Ale, and that's why he ended up being, removed from JDG. Because if he was so sick he had to go back to Korea, how did he instantly start working with Dplus? And he's showing up, and it's like, I mean, I don't know. It just seems like it seems like something fishy is going on with this guy. So I'm just I'm very skeptical on CV Max. I don't really trust him based on everything I've heard, and then everything I've seen with just the transparent thing about his actions, right? So whenever I see a problem like this, it's like, where is the coach in this? If this is how the team is acting, it just seems weird that every place he goes is a super toxic environment.
Jamada.
I don't have much to say. I think to quote a friend, old colleague, if everything is on fire around you, consider that you may be the match. That's just how it feels with CV Max, bro. Again, if he is either the most unlucky guy, like Dom says, of all time, or he is just the source of the problems. And I think I don't really believe in coincidences, to be honest. I don't. So it does seem to me like he's just the source of the problems, because what else could it be, right? Yes, teams can have drama, but again, how can you be at the team that has this? How can you be at every team that happens to have so much drama for the last 5 years or so? It does seem a bit odd.
Not sure what the strategy is, but if you go to that tweet and look at the retweets, there's some good stuff in there. One of them was you could use this insult, or you could just say, I hope your favorite rookie gets coached by CV Max immediately. That's a pretty good one. Yeah. I think the Lucid Showmaker thing, I think that's water under the bridge. It's whatever. Players curse at each other all the time. They get through it and they'll get over it. But I think the CV Max stuff, that's the interesting stuff to me. And we'll see what happens here with Dplus Kia and what they're going to do. Again, part of the upcoming off-season questions. Also, Barrel, the standard that Barrel was holding his teammates to, but then it seemed like he wasn't holding himself to. Just a lot of questions with this team, this organization, who hold world champions on the roster, and Showmaker had moments where he looked great, but felt like it didn't quite get the help he needed. So we'll see what Dplus does moving into 2026. Before we do, it's time to remind you about our friends over at Fabletics. This episode is brought to you by Fabletics. Whether you live in activewear, you can never have enough, but the good stuff usually costs a fortune. That's why you should check out Fabletics. You get pieces that feel premium and perform like the expensive brands without the crazy price tag. Now, you can do so here with Fabletics by becoming a Fabletics VIP, and it's simple. You can sign up as a new VIP, getting 80% off of everything, and after that, membership is about $70 a month unless you skip. That monthly fee gives you exclusive membership benefits, including a credit that you can use towards a full outfit or bundle up to $100. So on the first month, the first of every month, they send you an email and you decide whether you want to purchase a member credit or skip the month. And the cool part is that the member credit isn't just for yourself. It could be used for anyone or your friends. The quality is awesome. You get high-end activewear that you could pay $200 for, but you get that at a fraction of the price with Fabletics. Again, it is in the membership and it is a lot easier to use. So if you find yourself being active and you need to check out a new wardrobe plan for yourself, Fabletics has you covered. It helps knowing that Fabletics has a community over 2 million VIP members and more than 100 retail stores. Makes you feel like you're joining something bigger that people already love and rely on. And it's not just about good deals. They're also doing the eco-friendly stuff. Half of their fabrics have been made from recycled materials, and the company has been carbon neutral since 2021, which is pretty great. You should check out the t-shirts. Andrew, our producer, has raved about them, loves the tees, and is one that he would go for. Also, I checked out the site recently. Holiday stuff, all in shop right now. Holiday season coming upon, so get yourself all right for the holidays with Fabletics. Treat yourself to gear that looks good, feels good, and doesn't break the bank with Fabletics. Go to fabletics.com/powerspike and sign up as a VIP and get 80% off of everything. That's fabletics.com/powerspike to sign up as a VIP and get 80% off of everything. That's fabletics.com/powerspike. Thanks to our friends over at Fabletics. All right, finally, let's hop into LPL format news. So we talked about it before last time. It was the draft, the auction that is happening. And so I got a little bit more news here for how things were working out. So I have the order in which things will work. I have the order in which the teams are drafting. Let me find that one here. So the order, the LPL auction priority list, it goes BLG number 1. And the way that they do it is they have a certain amount of points that they can spend to sign a player. So you can spend the points to go back and forth and you auction off, right? So it's like, okay, still the order of players is unknown, but I imagine it's if you have the highest contract, right? If you're the highest contract player, you'll probably go first, and you went through the auction system, you will go first. You can auction, it's an auction based off of your points. So if you have 80 points, you can do 40. And if someone else has 45, you can do 50, and you keep going until all your auction points are done, and then negotiate with the player to sign. So the auction priority list is BLG's number 1 with somewhere between 80 points. Top Esports is number 2 between 60 points. JDG's number 3, 55 points. Weibo's number 4 at 50 points. AL is right below 50 points. So like they're thinking like 48. IG is number 6 with 47 points. And then EDG, FPX, World Elite, LNG, Thunder Talk, and they're on afterwards. So FPX obviously is not in anymore. RNG is not in anymore. So this is a little bit older of a document that I have, but just unique stuff here where it is kind of stacked. Again, those top 4, BLG, Top Esports, Weibo, and JDG and Weibo, all very close together in terms of their points. And so teams are now coming out with strategies of like, okay, we're going to re-sign 2 of our players. We're going to import a couple of Koreans, whether it's an LCK player or academy player, And then we will use all of our draft points here, draft auction points, on whatever role is left over. I think that's super, super fascinating here. What do you make of if you had a draft strategy here, Jamada, what would you do? What would you do? Let's say you had 3 players on the roster that you wanted to re-sign. And if you re-sign them, they don't go into the auction. So here's the deal. You have exclusive re-sign rights to your players only. And your players can only re-sign for you unless they didn't play last season for whatever reason. Play in the LPL last season. So if you are a free agent, you're going into the draft. That's your only option, or you can go play in another region, or that's it. Those are your only 2 options. You re-sign to your team, you go into the draft, or you play in another league. So, like, let's just start with, what do you make of this system here, Jamada? Now that we're figuring out a couple more. Do you have more questions that I can try to answer with the information that I have?
Questions? Oh, no. That's fine. I don't have questions. This was like a really weird way to react to T1 and Faker like high key solo killing the region for years on end. That's my first feeling. You know, like at this point it feels like they're resigning to just wanting to die just almost in peace. You know, like Dardock style. Just give me whatever. I'll die in peace. I'll lose in peace. But can we call it for what it is? It's like we've high key just turned the players into property.
Okay. So look, on this front, because I had I was asking this person, my source. I was like, hey, isn't it kind of like this thing happened in the West? And they're like, well,
just say it, dGon. It's a slave trade.
No.
Okay, all right.
No.
But he's right. Like you actually can't call it almost anything else.
So
like, you really can't.
But here's right. But here's how it was. Here's how and why it happened. Right.
Here's how it's different. Here's how it's actually a good idea.
How it was told to me.
They'll have. At the human rights as well. Okay.
At the beginning, at the top, I said the rumors that have been flying around in China are a little bit more credible because agents are more brash and they're willing to go on stream and talk about it and talk about, they contacted Zeus or whatever. Like that stuff happened, right? It's because these agents talk about it more. And so what happens is these super agents are able to kind of dictate the market, and the teams and the orgs, the teams, orgs, and league are kind of fucked over by it. And so this way takes the power away from the agents that are like, okay, if you don't sign this package deal, then you don't get any of the players. Or if you don't sign this player, I won't send this player over there. If you sign this player, I won't send this player over there. This is what was happening in the back end. And so this gives the power back to the teams to be able to create the rosters that they want, at least closer to what they want. And the top teams that have performed, because they have more draft points and draft capital to use during this process. Because
give it to me straight. Are the players going to be in shackles when they go up or not?
Do you know what I'm saying? Like, is it going to be like is it like a conga line? Like, what's the setup here? Like, how are we going to get these guys on the stage? Like, I'm in a unique position right now. There's a lot of shit.
Yeah, no, you can go crazy right now.
Like,
go for it. Go for it. I'm here for it.
No, look, I think as a professional, I should perhaps try and walk a very fine line here, but also like again, the parallels are just too like I just don't get like why strip the power away from the players and their own individual agency in favor of giving it like very explicitly to the teams, right? Like I don't think that makes sense, and that it doesn't work like that in a majority of like sports, at least that I consume. Obviously, I know like again in the States you've got like a lot of draft systems when it comes to like very specifically college players, but I don't know how it works like off season, like season to season.
The only time that there's a draft is when you have an expansion of the leagues, like And then what the expansion draft is that each team gets to protect 7 players, like on their roster in the NBA. They can protect 7 players, and then the other players go into like the draft. So like 7 players is already pretty deep. You probably only have like a 9-10 man rotation, really. So this is like kind of crazy that it's like every free agent just goes into the draft. Like I don't know. I've never heard of anything like this.
Yeah, and the other question that I had was, is it said? Like how often is this going to happen? Is it going to happen next year? Is this just the future? And it hasn't been hasn't been confirmed yet. Because I can imagine it was like, if it's like an expansion draft one-off thing.
It's not even an expansion. They're reducing. They're losing teams. They're losing teams. It's the opposite. Like,
And the reason why Jamada, like what you said, is why don't you give the power to the players to choose? It was because the power was in the agents. The players didn't. Almost the players. It seems like the players didn't get to choose.
All right, then let's just super glue the hands of every single player agent to an ICBM and shoot them into the moon, so the players can just do their thing. Like I don't know, these agents, I swear to God, they're like frauds. They're actually like, so many of them are just legitimate parasites. There's so few agents that I actually hear good things about, at least in the West. I can imagine in China it's way worse, right? Like I'm probably just in general it's probably way worse, right? But there's the agents have put protections in place so the players have more say then. Don't fucking just go, you know what, we can't really circumvent this, so let's just give it all to the teams and just let's act like actively they have just turned the players into property, bro. It's so mental. I can't get behind it. And then like the obvious ramifications is just, well, okay, what's one thing that in comparison, like if we take this to kind of like the competitive level where it's like LPL versus LCK, what's one thing that the LCK has done generally very well? Pretty much all of the top talent is like consolidated within the top 3 to 4 teams, right? Beyond that, it's like you do have some air quotes like shining stars and like there's some outliers that like don't end up on these good teams from time to time, right? And that's a very common thing because Korean talent pool is very stacked. But what's one thing this year that was a very big deal with a lot of the LPL teams? A lot of the good players were just genuinely scattered across multiple different like rosters, almost down to like the 7th place team, right?
Yeah.
This isn't going to solve that problem. It's going to make it worse. So it just, in many ways, I think it will. Because if you're working on such a limited budget, right? What is the like likely opportunity? Because then there's like also things like finances, right? Like how the hell do you work through this auction whilst also keeping all of these top players at the same time?
So
like it's almost never going to happen. You're probably almost always going to be ceiling capped to have maybe 2, like 3 play. If you like can bankroll, like if you're a BLG or a JDG and you can bankroll, like you're gonna have the best player in like maybe 3 positions tops, and you have to just like pray to God that the other 2 are like players that you can develop, or like that is I think that is the natural trajectory of this system. If players don't decide to basically stay with teams and basically more or less become franchise players to the organizations, which isn't always something that players want to do. But if that's what they're trying to build to, then sure. If like the like long-term franchise of each organization is, we go back to Knight being like the top esports guy or whatever the hell you want to do, right? Maybe. Like I could maybe buy into that fantasy, but I think the short-term reality is that you are just shagging so many different rosters at the same time that internationally you're gonna short circuit all of these rosters. I don't think that outside of like maybe one that you're going to have super competitive rosters anymore. They're going to be competitive within themselves domestically, but I think internationally it just gets worse like a lot of the time, unless you have like a really well-oiled machine like team that comes out of the LPL and can like again like contest the top teams. Like AL was basically the only roster that could do it pretty consistently this year. I think this exacerbates the issue. Like the second that rosters start to break up.
So a couple of things that you brought up that I think are good points. One is the LCK gives salary cap relief for players that have been with an organization for over 3 years. So there is incentive for a team to keep a player for longer. It is one of the ways that you can achieve the full amount of salary cap relief that the contract can count against is 60% of the salary. I think it is. So if you like achieve all your international success, 1 world championships, 1 LCK titles, one of the categories is how long have they been with the team? And that gets you an extra, I forgot, 5 to 15% or whatever. And so, and the rule set is all out there. So this is, I think, one of the incentives to be able to do that, to go back to that. I don't know if they have a salary cap relief there. I don't have that information, but it did incentivize teams to re-sign players before the draft, before entering the draft, to know what their game plan was. Now, one of the unique rules is like, if you get a player in the draft, you cannot trade them. They are untradeable, so you can't trade them. And if you end up signing a free agent like player to replace them and you cut them, their season's over. They can't sign with anyone else either. I assume that they probably still get paid for the year, but that that won't work out. So it does kind of limit the power for teams to be able to just buy up slots. Or if you're like the team with like a ton of draft points and you spend a lot of your draft auction points early on, but still have some left over, you can just take more players and then try to sell them to other teams. You can't do that. So it is a unique system. It is questionable, like lots of questions. And it looks like the draft will happen in a week. Still waiting to see if it's going to be streamed, how it's going to happen, all that stuff. But it's happening. This thing's happening. And I do think that it will consolidate power to BLG, to Top Esports, to JDG and Weibo and AL. And I don't think the other teams have an opportunity to whiff in there. They have to moneyball it. They have to moneyball it.
What if like the thing that I have in my head is like, imagine you've got like a middling team who have not enough points to contest multiple like auction players, but
Correct.
they've got enough to like contest one big name. Do you know what I mean? Like, imagine like who's like a middling to top end like top laner, or like who's like a top laner for an example, like someone like Breathe, or like someone who like could theoretically like again like make it or be in a top 5 team like comfortably, but they're not right now. Imagine you're that guy and it's like, well, hey, Thunder Talk just bet all of their auction points on you. Congratulations. Welcome to Thunder Talk Gaming. And you are just jailed to being 10th for like the entire year because of that. And there's nothing you can do about that. Like that's a real case scenario in this system, by the way. Like that can never be good. Like, I'm sorry, the opportunity cost to me just doesn't make sense. Like the potential for losing good talent to potentially just objectively shit rosters that, you know, 80% of the time they're not going to realistically achieve anything, even domestically. I think that sucks. I think that's horrible. So, you know, like how, and again, the other part that we brought up last episode when we were talking about this, but we haven't here. If you don't go to the team, you get banned. You get banned. I think the proposed time right now is 2 splits, right? Yeah, which is crazy. If in winter you don't go to a team in winter, you don't get to play until summer. What? Like that is just like strictly bizarre. And then what happens in that time? Like if you're banned for 2 splits and then you're a free agent going into summer, how does joining a team work? Like
I don't know yet.
There's not going to be an auction again, right? Like surely. So then do you just get the freedom to join whatever team happens to have an open spot? Like and that discussion happens? Like it's
maybe.
I don't know.
But then you would get a fraction.
The whole thing is ridiculous.
You would get I'd imagine you would get a fraction of what you would normally make, unless like your services like are insanely high, right?
Yeah, so, it sounds really good for players.
Imagine
amazing.
Again, but like imagine you're like a Breathe or like any of those kind of in-between players who are like not quite in that top echelon, but could probably, you know, just have a quiet time on a good roster. Do you know what I mean? You're fucked. And if you're a top player, and again, one of these kind of towards, like, imagine you're a 1-2 player, right? And for whatever reason, your org doesn't want you. And then one of those positions in like 5-6 is like, yeah, tasty. And they just like dump all 50 of their chips on your head. What the fuck do you do? Like, you have to just go play, or you can't. You literally.
Yeah. I mean, we're just gonna have some horrible teams.
Yeah.
It's it's terrible.
Yeah.
I don't know why we can't just like. I don't know. It feels like everything is trying to like people just try to change league in like the worst ways possible every single year. Like that's just what it is. It's like this year we had like the ridiculous formats that made no fucking sense.
Yeah.
Like and we just accepted it. It's like, yeah, I mean, I guess we're gonna try this for a year and then it doesn't work out. We tried like the fucking weekdays in LCS. We're trying this auction system. Now they're gonna have coaches talk. Like, why do they need to keep on changing things that don't need to be changed just because they see some level of decline in viewership? It just feels like it just seems so annoying. I don't know. I'm just such a hater of it, but it is what it is. Happens.
Yeah. Well, it's coming. November 21st. The first draft will commence. And
the first draft will commence. Holy fuck.
Like they're being conscripted to war, bro. Like there's just no.
Bro, can I stream this shit? I'll stream this shit, bro.
Surely it's live. Surely it's done live. There's no way it's not broadcast.
That might be a good stream. You know, like
I think that'll be a great stream.
Jamada, you have to come on the stream. To be honest, I can't.
Okay.
Oh,
Yo, I'm there. No. Look, no. This is like
I can't be the one making the joke.
No, you're hiring a lawyer. No, 100%. I'm there. Like, bro, like pro bono. I'm there. I've got you, bro. Like, it's not even an issue. Yeah.
Okay,
no,
sounds good.
I'm
sounds good.
Yeah, lovely.
We're gonna fucking need it. To be honest, I'm just gonna I'm not gonna be able to make the jokes that that I think that will need to be made. In this type of circumstance.
I'm there. Like we've got to protect the career. We've got to protect the bag. Like I'm down for that. I'm happy for it. Yeah. No, let's do it.
Okay. All right. Let's do it.
All right. Well, that's the LPL drafting system. We'll see what they do here, and we'll, and for next season. Yeah, that's that. Almost done, y'all. But before we wrap it on off with our 2025 ending season, it's time to remind you about our friends over at Raycon. This message is sponsored by Raycon. Now, Raycon's everyday earbuds have become a go-to gift for the holidays. They sound great, last all day, and then some, with 32 hours of battery life, and actually stay comfortable no matter how long you wear them. Over 4 million already have a pair, so if you've been curious, now's the time to try them out. You've heard me push it all the time. I've got my third pair here, and for Black Friday and Cyber Monday, you can get up to 30% off all Raycon products, perfect for gifting or keeping for yourself. The new colors are a vibe. I had my cool mint, but now I've got the rose gold. It feels just less like earbuds and more like an accessory that matches me and my hair. Every feature lives up to the name. The quick charge takes 10 minutes to give you 90 minutes of play times and up to 32 hours of battery life within the case. Awareness mode, perfect for when I'm walking around and making sure I'm not going to get hit by a bus here in Korea, so I stay tuned into what's happening around me without missing a beat. Plus, over 3 million customers already love their Raycons, and the Raycons come with a 30-day happiness guarantee. So if you don't love them, returns are easy, so you have nothing to lose. As you heard me say, I lost my first pair, lost my second pair, and then got the third pair. I've come back to them time and time again. I use it. You should use it too. Now, Raycon is going big for Black Friday and Cyber Monday. Everything's up to 30% off. So head on over to buyraycon.com/powerspike to save on Raycon audio products site-wide. Just click the link in the description or go to buyraycon.com/powerspike to save on Raycon. Thanks to our friends over at Raycon. They're great. Check them out. Roster rumor time. First one, confirmed by FlyQuest. Out are the two coaches over at FlyQuest. 5 international qualifications, 5 grand finals appearances, 4 championship titles, and 1 memorable reaction to minions ending the game. Thank you to Nuke Duck and Mithy for helping lead us to so much success over the last 2 years. The coaching staff for FlyQuest also being moved on upon here. Just thoughts on that move here, Jamada.
Just looks like a whole restructure top down for FlyQuest, right? Like lost Busio, lost Inspired. Obviously, these things are technically still rumored, but it's like one of those things where it's like everyone knows it's happening. It's just about when the official announcement comes to pass. And it seems like FlyQuest are just going in a completely different direction, right? The last few years have been good. overall. I think for the org, and I think has kind of provided a pretty needed bright spot for NA as a whole. But yeah, I think it's surprising to see them leave, and I'm curious about who's going to take their place because I think both the coaches, pretty invaluable legacies that they have individually. So both, as player for Mythi and then coach side for Duck. So yeah, sad to see them go, and I'm again curious about who's going to be stepping into that stead because. You'd think maybe in terms of like the people who have coached in NA for a while, like domestically, with one of the names maybe you would have said like, Reaped from C9. C9 obviously announced Reaped was gone a little while ago. Maybe that's the move you would have thought, but like Reaped is apparently coming to Europe. So it does seem like it's going to be a completely fresh set of heads in the coaching department for Fly. So again, curious to see what direction they go in, just because the roster as well has of course kind of been dismantled, the core pieces really in Busio and Inspired are gone.
Yeah. Thoughts on the move there, Dom?
I mean, it's surprising, but I think that at the same time, it's like if you have those type of coaches, you probably want like a different type of roster. Like I think that they're good at like building up teams and like being able to work a functioning like high level team, but it seems like they will end up being like relatively budget based off what we've heard. I mean, they lost Inspired, it's like Quad and Monster staying, they lost Busio. I think that this roster will probably end up just being like not a team that's like going to be immediately competing for championships. I mean, who knows, maybe they'll still be insane, but you'd expect that the team would get worse when you lose like your two best players. And I think that it just for the coaches as well, they probably had more interesting offers. Like for example, the one that everyone's talking about is Mythi potentially going to MKOI. Like I think that could be pretty interesting overall. Spanish guy, right?
Yeah.
Org that is, really hyped. Also, it feels like he would have a very unique role there as a strategic coach because Melzet, I feel like, is more of like from what I've seen, like more of like a structure guy. Like he's like setting the team culture and, he's filling that normal head coach role more than necessarily just being a coach that's going to be heavily strategic about how the game will be played. So, I mean, overall, I think it makes sense. I think it's good probably for both parties.
Yep. Yeah. No, it's sad to see that chapter end, but also, they did have a lot of success, and it's like what you said here, Jamada, feels like a top-down change of how FlyQuest is going to be moving forward here. The big one that is kind of come up here in the LPL and LCK is the big domino, I would say, is Viper. It's not Zeus, it's actually Viper. Now, the rumor was that Viper, the rumor is that Viper is willing to go back to the LPL if and only if he got to play with Knight. So he's interested in playing with Knight. And so Knight.
But how does this work? Wait, if you're
it's a free agent signing. It's a free agent signing. So he's just
you don't actually have to go to the pool. You don't have to go to the trade.
He didn't play in the LPL. He did not play in the LPL last year. That's yes.
All right. So there's a workaround.
Yeah. That is the workaround. Yeah. So the workaround.
Do you guys think there'll be like an underground railroad?
No.
I'm like, okay.
The workaround is that you sign players. So if you re-sign a player, they can. This sounds terrible now that I'm about to say it. If you re-sign a player, you can trade them. But if you get them through the draft, you can't trade them. So you sign a player, see if you win who you want in the auction, and then you can trade the player that you currently have. So you can do a sign and trade, kind of like basketball.
All right.
It's pre-draft sign and trade. But the big rumor is that Viper was looking to play in LPL if he got to play with Knight, but then Knight is weighing his options whether to go to JDG or stay with BLG, right? It was JDG or BLG. And then if he goes to JDG, then they'll keep Hayes. If he stays in BLG, then they might try to get Viper. But it's just a big kind of like toss up a mess. And then when that happens, then you can kind of figure out what the AD carry situation is going to be, if there's going to be a spot in the LCK or is there not, and how that's going to get filled. Because then the other rumor that's going around is Berserker. And we kind of got to see this on Reddit. There was like a site that said Berserker was in talks with Lion Gaming. Did you see that one, Dom?
Yep.
Yeah. So Berserker to Lion Gaming. But then there's also one of the top posts on FM Korea was Berserker was spotted at OK Savings Bank Breon headquarters, and he might be Brozerker.
Bomboclats.
Which,
I
mean, I'd love that, but I don't know if I would love that for Berserker's career. As
get that boy a team again, man. He needs it. Like he deserves it, man. Like he doesn't. This is actually just purgatory for him. Like you know how I said earlier we need to super glue like the hands of agents to a rocket and just shoot them. Like who is Berserker's agent to let this happen to him? Like we need to identify this man low key. Like what person? Like who has let Berserker's career go from where he was to where he is now?
Okay, so wait. The Freaks finished in playoffs last year. They were 6th. So you're thinking, okay, I've never played in the LCK. Time for a new challenge. Let's join the 6th place roster. I'm playing with the number 1 rated solo queue player in the best server in the world in Bulldog. Pioshik's coming. I don't have a lot of intro for Pioshik. So let's see what happens. And I'm playing with Life, one of the most tenured supports in the history of the LCK, one of the winningest supports in the history of the LCK, because he played a lot on Gen G with Ruler. And then it went to shit. So I can see it. I can see that. Okay, I got to play the LCK. The vision was there.
Yeah. Anyways, like I think he should go to Lyon if that's actually an option on the table for him. I think that roster looks okay, to be honest. Anyway, like
it looks good. No, like inspired.
It looks Berserker pretty damn okay. Like I think that would feel really good to have as your core. Like like you said, inspired Saint, Berserker. I can't remember who the rumor top laner is Zamudo, and then the support. I think they were saying it was going to be Isles.
But yeah,
no.
It was last year.
It was. Yeah. But like that's like the rumored Lion roster. I know it's really funny not to tangent too far, but there was a fan on Twitter that was saying that that's a super team, and they're really sad to see the identity of Lion's roster potentially like shift towards a super team, and it just made me kind of giggle a bit because, like, maybe at best, all right, cool. Berserker was who he was in NA. Like, Inspired is obviously Inspired, but we can't be calling a roster with, like, for the time being, Saint, who you've like kept from last year anyway, Zamudo and Isles a super team. Like, the definition, like the bar can't be that low. But that'll be a good roster, and I think if it comes to fruition, and I think for Berserker, get the fuck out of Korea, man. Like, I don't think there's gonna be a good time for you waiting in Korea. I was just thinking about this in the meantime. How do you think the Korean players are going to get from Korea to China? Because low key, I'm thinking like a nice boat, like off the.
Okay. Yeah. No, I see it.
Off like a boat ride up to Beijing or up to Shanghai, and that's the mode of transportation. And I think they would feel pretty nice about that, to be honest with you. Like a nice cruise ship, the amenities are all paid for. Great views off the Chinese coast.
Yeah, no, I can see it.
I think that'll be good.
That makes sense.
I think that'll be good for them.
A couple of signing rumors here for LPL is that Cream and Jackie Love have successfully signed with TES for 2026. So that mid 80 carry core.
I have a hot take.
Returning.
Jackie Love has to go. I actually kind of hate that he's still there. I feel like if you're top esports management, like I know Jackie Love is Jackie Love, and you do like get a fair amount of domestic success. Like But at what point do we just kind of point at the guy that's been there since, fuck me, how long's it been now? We have 4 years, 5 years? Maybe longer. I'm like, yeah. It's like when does the change come for the sake of just change? Do you know what I mean?
Up until this Worlds, I mean, he was also the biggest choker. Like, he was the one that was like running it. Where it was like, what the fuck is going on? Like that first stand tournament from Jackie Love was maybe the worst I've ever seen from a top tier AD carry.
It feels like, in a way, almost kind of mirrored to like how I feel about Rezork on Fnatic. You know, it's like we should probably change Rezork out, not because he's like inherently a bad player or like anything like that. Like, his floor is perfectly acceptable for the LEC, but we just have to change shit in our roster. You know, that's how I feel about Jackie Love. But hey, you know, if he's re-signed, him and Cream, that's the core. We'll see what they could, see what they can get cooking again. But I fear it's just going to be a repeat where it's like maybe they get one domestic title into like a very embarrassing international performance, and in this case it was 2 this year because there was 3 opportunities to qualify. They qualified twice and they embarrassed twice. So, staying true to the Felfrey Awards again, if that's the market you buy into with top esports.
Someone tweeted out in best of series against the LPL, top esports was like 0 what were they, like 0-8?
Oh, against LCK, you mean? 0-8
I guess,
LCK?
yeah, LCK.
And there was 0-14. There was 0-14 in like game score or something.
Brutal.
Yep.
Brutal. Let's see. I'm taking a peek. What else did we have here? There was one more that I thought was pretty interesting that was confirmed. I can't find it. Oh well. Clear Enduro are back for B&K Fear X, but that was official and announced. Let me scroll. The most recent ones. Okay, here are the most recent ones. Yahoo and Zika Yahoo is re-signed with Weibo, and Zika has been successfully traded to Weibo from LNG. That is a rumor, but
oh wait, hold on. So that brief point from earlier is like a legit thing. Like, that guy could get jailed hella hard if he's now a free.
Yeah.
Oh god, that's fucking hilarious. Well, we'll see what happens to that guy. Poor fella. If that's true and that rumor comes to pass, like the auction system just has too many holes for like potential memes, man. Like, what if this guy actually does end up on a team like Thunder Talk? Like, oh shit. It's just like, yeah, congratulations. You are either going to Thunder Talk or you are jobless for 2 entire splits. You are jobless for 7 months of the year. Enjoy. Like, no money for you. Go and stream. Like, go and stream and try and make money, little bro, because that's the only way you're going to get income for the next 6 months. Like, how silly is that, man? Yeah. It's not gonna sit right with me.
What was the other one? Yeah.
Agreed.
It's tough. Former bro. Wow, I can't believe there's so much bro news here. Former bro, head of the bros, and world champion Coach Edgar heading on over to LNG. It was posted, Shadow Corp, his agency, post a photo of Edgar on their Instagram story, LNG Edgar. So Edgar getting a chance to get out of the bros after this, past season, after 4 years, I think it was, with the bros. Now going to LNG and trying to make that work now without Zika. We'll see what happens there for him. All right. Here, this is why. Rumor also coming from today. Kenzu shares that Breathe will likely end up being LNG's top laner for 2026. So there you go. There's your answer. For Breathe, at least. This is very interesting. Very interesting stuff. It's all kind of a little bit more concrete in the LPL side, because on the LCK side, the person that kind of did the stuff for Zeus's contract stuff got a little bit out of order and then was like completely crushed on it. So he's like, well, I'm not going to do any rumors anymore and get things confirmed. So the LCK stuff has been a lot slower to come out, and it seems like nothing official is coming out because signing day is in 24 hours or 48 hours from this recording. And also they're kind of waiting on the Viper thing. Like, is Viper going to stay in LCK? Is he going to go? And then also Gen G, right? Because Duro, there was rumors that Duro was gonna move on, but now maybe he's not. So then what's the rest of Gen G gonna do? Well, Gen G is gonna resign if, I think Dom, you covered it. Chovy will resign. If Chovy resigns, then Ken will resign, but Chovy's only gonna resign if Keen resigns. But if Keen doesn't resign, then you might lose your whole core. All these things are kind of up in the air and whatnot. I haven't been able to confirm those things. So very, very fun time, the off season, and we'll keep it covered here on Twitter or wherever. We'll have a lot of the rumors. All right, y'all. That does it. That is another year done here, Dom. And now's that time where I lose another host of mine on a talk show to Cloud9, to go coach to Cloud9. Happening again. Jack is just fucking it up. Jamada, get your coaching CV ready. Dom, you've been a colleague and partner and friend of mine now for 6 years. We've done this for 6 years across multiple different titles, multiple different shows. It's been a blast. And,
7.
I think one thing I learned quickly with you is that there wasn't anyone else that was going to work as hard as you do. And I'm super excited and proud of you to step back into the arena and compete again. And so I wish you nothing but the best. And I'm so excited to see the success that you're going to bring the team and the experiences that you're going to have back on in there. So best of luck and allegedly. And
allegedly
really, excited to see what you do.
Thanks, dGon. I appreciate it. Yeah, I'm ready to go. I think that for a while I was like co-streaming, and I wanted to co-stream because it's like a really safe way to consistently make money. And I feel like a lot of streamers fall into this trap where you don't want to do anything else because it's kind of like scary to potentially give up something that's like so lucrative and so like easy, I guess. But I don't know. I've just always liked competing more than I liked trying to be like a personality. It was always more of what I did. Like, I didn't want to be a streamer first. I wanted to be a competitive player, right? And then I became a streamer later on. So yeah, for me, it's just something I wanted to do for a while and found the opportunity, and I think it should be fun. Like, I don't know. I'm really excited to just start going at it again.
Jamada, final thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, obviously I don't quite have the same tenor of companionship and colleagueship as dGon here, but it's been nothing but a blast and an honor, man, to have you as a co-host this year. Sad to see you go, but like you could hear it throughout the conversations we had throughout this year about how you're talking about C9. The hunger was there, like the hunger was so there, right? And this just makes sense. This does just make sense for you, and I think again, like I've echoed sentiments around this for a long time. It's when you're a competitor and you step out of that arena, and you are still able to compete, even if it's in a different fashion. In this case, that call never really gets quieter. To be honest, it just gets louder. So seeing you allegedly get this opportunity to go back out there and do what you love, I can only wish you nothing but the best, man. And I have full confidence that you're going to end up smashing it.
Appreciate it. Yeah, no, I'm ready to go. It's been fun. It's been a journey. We've had some of the longest power spikes ever this year. So
yeah, I was thinking back to like early face check days, which obviously isn't power spike, but like just to see your growth as like a talent and be able to get it, and then when you started leveling up the production and working with Joe and doing all that stuff, and being like, man, he understands the content and he understands how to do it. It was fun. I think one of my favorite moments was like when we were doing the show with Loco and he did, what was it? He would do girlfriend analogies. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
He would liken everything to girlfriend analogies. I'd be like, what are you doing? But then you would
they would always be like the most basic ones. Like he'd be like, he's like, all right, like imagine you have this really hot chick, and this really hot chick is the equivalent to KC, but the really hot chick has chlamydia. So, like,
brilliant.
Do you really would you really want to like be with the chlamydia-ridden hot chick over like the mid chick like Fnatic that you know is never going to be as hot, but you're not get chlamydia from her? Like it'd be like, okay, yeah, now I kind of see you, Loco. I mean, you could have just said like you like Fnatic more than KC, but you know he would always just go for the craziest analogy, you know. Like, I don't know. It was what it was.
It was a good one. 6 years. Best of luck, brother. Nothing but success from here on out. In the comments, let us know your favorite Dom moment. Obviously, the malding over T1. There's a lot. But malding over T1, Jizuke defending and fighting. I think there was one time I did a Yamato impression and you cooked me because I did do a bad job with the Yamato impression.
It's called unique voice, man.
Yeah, but I just made one up. It was pretty shit. All right, brother. Cheers. It's been fun. As for Power Spike moving forward, Jamada, Andrew, Monty, and I will all get together and figure out what the future is for the show, but it will be back and returning. Super excited to continue to tell the world of League of Legends to our audience here. It's been nothing but great. Thank you all so much for watching the 2025 season of Power Spike. And for the final time in this year, we will see you next year. This episode is brought to you by Prize Picks. Now, you and I make decisions every day, but on Prize Picks, being right can get you paid. Don't miss any of the excitement this sports season. Now, on Prize Picks, whether you're a football fan or a basketball fan or a fan of both like me, it always feels good to be right. Now, during the football season, my two favorite teams have had opposite trajectories. The Broncos have done well. The Commanders, not so much. They're both part of my picks in this week's stack. And let's start with Bo Nix, who have a more or less than 0.5 pass touchdowns against the Chiefs. It's a high-powered offense kind of game when those two teams get together. I know Bo Nix has had his struggles. However, I think he's going to be key to the Broncos getting the dub. Give me the more in the more than 0.5 touchdowns. So you should have at least one or more. And then the opposite one, where do the Commanders come in? Well, they're playing Miami in overseas. And Devon A-Chain has a 0.5 more or less in his run or receiving touchdowns. And you know who got suspended for the Commanders? The big man in the middle, Deron Payne. He's out because he got suspended for punching Amon-Ra St. Brown. So that's a big part of the run-stopping unit not going to be there. And A-Chain has had himself a pretty good resurgence, as the Dolphins have had a pretty good resurgence. Devon A-Chain, more than 0.5 touchdowns. Now, the reasons why I play Prize Picks is because it's so easy to get in on the action for football and basketball in more than over 40 states, including California, Texas, and Georgia. And it's so simple. Just pick more or less on at least two player stats. And if you get your picks right, you could cash on in. So download the Prize Picks app today and use the code PowerSpike to get $50 off in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code PowerSpike to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. It's good to be right.